We're live.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Tonight we have a pretty epic debate on our hands. We're debating Trump's presidency and coronavirus. We have two members from the Democratic Hype House and the Trump supporters. Will you guys introduce yourselves, please?
Hi, I'm Malek. I go by Tank Top Republican on TikTok, and I'm debating Trump's presidency and his handling of the coronavirus with my friend.
All right. Praneel?
All right. Is my mic on? It's on, right?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you.
I'm good on audio. Okay, cool. I'm Praneel, and I have an account on TikTok, and that's it.
I'm Sarah. You guys probably know me because you're on my channel.
I'm Teddy, Progressive Intel.
Progressive himself. All right. Will you guys give your opening statements, please?
Okay. We'll start it off with the presidency. Okay. In an economic aspect, Donald Trump's presidency has failed us tremendously. This includes the more regressive tax code caused by the TCJA, trade war with China causing economic turmoil, unnecessarily heightened coronavirus recessions, and other either detrimental or useless policies under the Trump administration. In regards to a social aspect, Trump's policies and social rhetoric have not done anything. As most of his promises are, we view Donald Trump's vows to protect the rights of marginalized groups as exclusively performative. Not only has he appointed blatantly anti-LGBTQ plus cabinet members, unconstitutionally repealed the Title VII discrimination statute protecting the LGBTQ plus rights in employment, repealed trans protections in the military against the advice of expert military leadership, but his rhetoric as president has facilitated an open normalization of white supremacy, especially on social media. In conjunction with this, the threats of nationwide ICE raids, the administration's neglect of civil rights issues during Black Lives Matter, and propelling unnecessary fears amongst minority groups has caused nothing but destruction in the US. Holistically, the Trump administration is a comparatively worse presidency.
All right. Now the Republicans can go.
So our opening statement, Praneel, you can go first.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. You'll follow up, Malek, okay? So my question to you guys is basically if Biden is a better presidential candidate than Trump. So as we've seen so far, the fact of the matter is that we've already seen how Biden can recover the economy. And he's served under Obama for like 8 years now. And that's basically longer than any other president, of the fact that Biden is kind of more of a settled option at this point for most of the Democratic Party, basically. And he's not seen as a primary option. He's seen as someone who is basically someone who can just be easily manipulative, someone who could be also portraying himself, cosplaying himself on, like basically himself on how he can portray, how he can charade himself into someone that he may or may not be at this point. It's unlikely that he'll actually serve as a president, and it's based on his prior economic strategy serving as vice president. If it takes him longer than 4 years to recover the economy, and based on his past history and factual data, it most likely won't mean that he will. But at the same time, okay.
No, it's this isn't necessarily the topic that we're discussing, right? We're not really comparing Trump to Biden right now, but either way, like it doesn't really matter, I guess, because comparatively speaking, Biden would be much more effective of a president than Donald Trump would in the coming years. But this isn't really the topic that we're discussing, so it's sort of just like a pivot already.
Okay, that's fine.
So our opening statement is basically that Trump, with the numerous benefits he's done to the economy, 7 million jobs added since his inauguration, the tax cuts that has benefited the middle class, everything essential that is providing jobs, COVID relief, for instance, the fact that he's actually still during this pandemic, he continues to provide relief and provide benefits to states that are handling COVID terribly. And, he's providing relief and, he's providing, numerous manufacturing jobs that, is benefiting everybody as a whole. So, we're arguing that, the Trump administration has a better economy than, any other president.
All right. And I'm going to start the timer, and you guys can have 30 minutes of open discussion.
All right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sarah.
I think were you guys like was that Malek? Was that your opening statement, or was that just like a thread of questions for us to address?
No, it was opening statement.
It was a little bit impartial, so it's fine.
Is there like a specific topic that you want to talk about first? We'll do COVID later, obviously. Like we'll do the economics of COVID as well later on. But
all right, cool.
Was there like a specific one that you wanted to start with on unemployment rate or like? I mean, I guess Teddy.
Like,
you
what are we tackling
How about we
first?
talk about?
What is-
We can elaborate on unemployment rates first if you want.
okay.
We can compare the unemployment rates of both
Sure.
of these. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So yeah, I would not argue at all that Donald Trump created like low unemployment. So like if we were to look at the period after the 2009 recession, unemployment peaked at 10.1% in 2009 and decreased to 4.7% in January 2017, which is a decrease of 55% overall on the unemployment rate. But the unemployment rate declined from 4.7% in January 2017 to 3.7% the month before the coronavirus, I think January 2020. Either that or December 2019. That's a decrease of roughly 20%. So the decrease under Barack Obama has been far more substantial. So like I would reject any assertion that says that Donald Trump's policies created this long-term economic growth.
I actually disagree.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, Obama did, decrease the unemployment rate. He created lots of jobs. Yeah, so I'll give you that. Obama did create 8.9 million jobs in 8 years. Yeah, but Trump has created 4.7 million jobs in 3 years. When someone takes over in a recession, that means everyone is unemployed. The jobs are obviously going to skyrocket after an economic crisis. So, he did create lots of jobs. Roughly 17% were part-time before the recession. Then after the recession, they shot up to 20.1% part-time low-income jobs. And then when Obama left office, it dropped to 18.3%. That's horrible. And then under Trump, part-time jobs were lower than 14.3%, which means benefits.
Okay, so you've significantly lowballed the number of jobs that Obama created. The number of jobs that he created as a net is around 15 million jobs, and as a total, it's around 16 million jobs. So I don't know where you got. Well, I think you said 8.9 million jobs. Are you taking the net? Are you comparing the loss under the 2008 recession and then excluding that from the jobs gains that took place since after? Because if we were to add a total, including the American Reinvestment Act, the bailouts of certain companies, the auto bailout that took place in 2009, 2000, if we were to include those, it would be well over 15 million jobs that were created. So I'm kind of curious as where how you're getting to 8.9 million jobs instead of over 13 million.
This from his whole 8 years.
That's just not true. It's pretty well over 15 million jobs that were created under Barack Obama. It was 75 consecutive months of job growth, in which before the American Recovery Reinvestment Act, 800,000 jobs a month were being lost, and after the Reinvestment Act was passed, it was about 200,000 jobs being lost being gained per month. So it's consistently over 15 million jobs that were created, up to 60 million jobs, depending on how you calculate it. But my issue is that you significantly lowballed it to say, oh, well, Obama created around 8 million and Trump created I think he said 7 million. But it's a little disingenuous.
Trump created 4.7 million jobs in 3 years.
4.7 million jobs in 3 years.
And
yeah, how does that compare? If Barack Obama, if my issue is that you took the number of jobs that Barack Obama created and you put it down, or you said 8. You said 8. So I think you said 8.9 million, and yeah. I'm pointing out that that's disingenuous.
Because if we're looking compared,
if we were to use that same logic, right? If we were to include jobs, if we were to exclude jobs that took place during the 2009 recession, then by that logic, by the end of this year, if Trump were to get reelected, we would exclude the jobs that were lost, or we would include jobs lost under the coronavirus recession, put that on Donald Trump, if we're to be consistent with our logic. Obviously, I don't believe that, but it seems to me that you're saying that the jobs that were lost during the 2000 recession and created do not matter, and you're only looking at a net past zero.
If we look comparatively, most of this increase in jobs and the decrease in unemployment under Trump has been continuous off of the Obama administration. Right. And just asserting that there is a more job availability now doesn't really prove anything, because if you contextualize it, it just doesn't matter.
Right. So if we were to look at a 3-year period, the last 3 years of Barack Obama's administration and the first 3 years of Donald Trump's administration, about 205,000 jobs were created per month under the last 3 years of Obama's administration. It did continue to grow under Donald Trump's administration in the first 3 years, but at a rate of 195,000 jobs per month. So the rate at which job growth has been growing has been slowing down. Still increasing, obviously, before the coronavirus recession, but it has been slowing down. So that is at least some type of evidence that Donald Trump's policies did not directly contribute to job growth in and of themselves. It's mainly been a continuation of Obama's recession recovery.
Yeah, and disagreeing with this is just sort of disingenuous, because it's just a denial of statistics.
Yeah, but I'm saying
okay. So
Praneel, let me finish. So
Yeah, you can go. It's fine.
yeah, so Obama, he does deserve some of the credit in the economy, but so does Trump. Obama got control of the economy when it was in recovery. The growth under Obama is going to be much higher than it would be under Trump because the
Wait.
economy was at an all-time low. So
Wait,
having
but that doesn't.
The economy, the unemployment was at around 7.8% when Barack Obama was inaugurated. That then increased and got to 10.1%. The financial system was on the brink of collapse. It got worse after Obama's inauguration.
Right, but also that just doesn't prove anything, because even if we gave credit to Donald Trump, it still wouldn't make him a comparatively better president. It would just make him a normal president who did something. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, but he still, he got the economy was still in recovery when Trump took office. It was not in an all-time high.
No, the economy was at full, well at full capacity. Unemployment had reached 6. Unemployment, so the full employment is generally by the Federal Reserve is considered to be 5-6%. The economy was well below 5-6% unemployment in 2017. On Donald Trump's inauguration day, it was at 4.7%. I mean, you had the stock market you had the Dow Jones at 19,800. So the economy was very much at full capacity. It was not in the middle of a recovery on Donald Trump's inauguration, not at all. In fact, before obviously the expansion continued, but Obama's expansion from 2009 to 2017 was the second longest economic expansion after Bill Clinton's expansion. So the economy had fully recovered by 2017 when Donald Trump was inaugurated.
But under Obama was the worst economic recovery since the 1940s.
Well, sure, but you have to consider the reality that many of the problems with the 2008 recession included financial problems, right? You had a financial sector which people were paying their mortgages and asset prices that were going down. So people have to pay that back during the recovery. So naturally, you're going to have a longer recovery than a normal supply shock recession, right? Because this is about the financial sector. This is based on people making their payments, and if people take longer to make payments, recoveries are going to be longer. But even then, I could, if I wanted to, I could compare the unemployment during the Reagan and Obama administrations. They decreased at relatively the same rates. In fact, unemployment was lower under Barack Obama's last few days in office than Ronald Reagan's. So it was technically a longer recovery, but this is including a financial crisis in which a recession is characterized by many companies being unable to actually, get bailed out and people having to pay payments on their mortgages. Therefore, it takes longer. So it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. I mean, we can move on from unemployment and towards another sect.
Yeah. So obviously, you guys are arguing that Donald Trump contributed to economic growth. We're arguing not. So if you could give any policies that had any provable effect on economic growth, I think that's a good place to start on, or employment growth, either way.
Okay. For the most part, I'm not down. I personally am not downplaying basically what Obama has actually done after the recession in 2008. I'm not downplaying that at all. In fact, the thing is that Trump, even though the disparity of the deterioration of unemployment rates hasn't really been as significant as basically Obama's contribution towards unemployment rates going down, it's so important to understand that the thing is that Trump, he significantly maintained those low unemployment rates, even throughout those 3 years. Now you guys are really good at statistics, of course. You guys can basically elaborate on basically the amount of jobs that were created every month during Trump's presidency, especially during those 3 years, because he still maintained roughly, I think, below around 4% unemployment rate, I think, during those 3 years in his presidency. So that's still an accomplishable feat. I think that's still something to kind of boast about, especially
also adding to more stuff about Obama. Under Obama was the lowest labor participation rate in since the 1970s, with 95 million Americans out of the workforce. Under Obama, 1 in 5 families did not have someone in the workforce, and under Obama was he made it that 1 in 6 men were either ages 18 through 34 are either incarcerated or out of the workforce. So how can you how can you argue that?
Well, so there were 2 wars that were taking place, right, between 2000s and 2008. So many people that came back from the war went into education. It was a record high number of people that were fighting in wars that went into education instead of going to the labor force. So, I mean, I suppose you'd have to prove that a lower labor force at other rates necessarily means that the economy was weaker. And if we were to look at that alone, the labor force participation rate also continued to decrease during Trump's administration. So it doesn't really speak to the economy being weak overall. And also to address a point that you made, I mean, you said that Donald Trump's success is kind of evident in the fact that he didn't mess up trends. So, I mean, what is that saying? Is that saying that, well, he didn't actually create anything, but he didn't manage to mess anything up, therefore he's good? Is that like what you're saying?
Yeah, because
and if not, I'd like to get into specific policies that actually contributed positively to job growth or employment growth.
Yeah, because Donald Trump, like to this day, he didn't really do anything to harm the economy. It's hurt because of a pandemic. When a pandemic.
Well, I could argue that he has done things to harm the economy, but
like what?
Like the trade war, which cost over 300,000 jobs by putting tariffs on steel and aluminum, which cost alone about 100,000 jobs. Getting China to stop buying products in the United States, including soybeans and agricultural products, which led to record high levels of agricultural debt in the United States, to the point in which Donald Trump, after passing the trade wars with China, had to pass bailouts to the companies that he harmed directly by having China retaliate against us. I would argue that was fundamentally harmful for the American economy. Because, it's generally a very clear consensus that when you put past tariffs on the limitation of goods coming in from outside, then you're going to limit your own GDP growth and you're going to harm your own industries, because many consumers for American industries, specifically in farming and agriculture, are across the world. And specifically, since many of our soybeans are bought from China, many agricultural products that are produced in the United States are bought from China. If you have a trade war with one of our largest consumers, that's going to hurt your economy. And that's why many farmers, on top of bad weather that has been persistent, on top of the difficulty of climate change that has been raging through the Middle East in places like Iowa, where corn production has decreased significantly and things like that. On top of that, you put a tariff that keeps consumers from buying your products. That is very harmful to the economy. And that's why almost 300,000 jobs, I think over 300,000 jobs were lost.
Also, I mean, just asserting that Donald Trump hasn't harmed the economy doesn't really mean anything, because you're here to prove that he has helped the economy, which you haven't. Because there's nothing beneficial he's done. All of you said is that he's maintained something, or he's continued something, or he's not done anything to harm it, but that doesn't prove that he's bettered anything.
Well, what about when this year unemployment rate reached its lowest level in half a century?
Because that's a continuation, though. We've already talked about this. It's a continuation. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have anything to do with Trump. Also, unemployment rates have been proven to not have little to nothing to do with the president himself.
What about wages are rising fast for low-income workers, and the prime age labor force has grown by 2.1 million under President Trump.
Wait, repeat that again?
Wages are rising fastest for low-income workers, and the prime age labor force has grown by 2.1 million under President Trump.
So what wages are you measuring? Like real wages, or like
I guess real wages?
After, I'm assuming, the 2017 tax cuts?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, there was an initial increase in wages, but overall wages have been consistently growing at the same level, actually a little bit lower between 2017 and 2019. If you were to look at that 2-year period, it has not changed upwards. And it's the same thing for business investment. There were initially business investments increased in the first quarter of the year 2007. The last quarter of 2017, but then started to flatline. So it wasn't a long-term growth. But I mean, you brought up the tax cuts. Should we go into depth about them?
It benefited the middle class. The working class. There's not. What would you argue?
Teddy's about to spit.
Yeah, I would strongly disagree. I mean, especially when you create a $1.5 trillion in which 80% of the benefits go to literally the top 0.1%. I don't think that's something that we could characterize as benefiting the middle class. I mean, sure, there were some permanent deductions that were good, that made middle class families, made them able to save money. But interestingly, by 2027, the only people that would be paying more, or only people that will be saving money, are people who made over $75,000 a year. Everybody who made less than $75,000 a year will be paying more in federal income taxes. So I don't see that as a long-term help for the middle class. And, to continue in terms of economic growth, they had a significantly minuscule effect on economic growth. Over a 10-year period, estimated real GDP growth over that 10-year period is by about 0.7%. And the unemployment, or the employment level, would be affected by about 0.6%. Personal consumption would be affected also by 0.6%. You combine that with a deficit of $1.5 trillion, which is I think we can safely say, considering the low amount of GDP growth that took place between, if you look at the overall annual rate between 2017 and 2019, I think we can definitively say that it did not have any long-term benefits for the economy, so which we could claim that the tax cuts would fund themselves for a deficit of $1.5 trillion with like virtually no economic growth.
And if we want to talk about these tax cuts, it would be a good leeway into the coronavirus discussion. But obviously, that's going to take a second to get into because we got to go through the social aspects. But these tax cuts have removed billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars from our federal budget that we could have directly used to implement more testing and more equipment to help people get tested for coronavirus and treated more effectively.
Yeah.
You want to move into another economic sector where we can talk about social issues, or
I think social issues is a good topic. We can go into social issues right now.
All right.
Cool.
What is there a talking point that you want to bring up first?
Yeah, healthcare. I want to compare Obamacare to Trump care.
So economics, okay.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more economics, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can do it.
Yeah.
Are there any are there any claims that you'd want to make about Trump care, how it's preferable to the Affordable Care Act, or?
Yeah. So basically, what I want to pretty much accentuate on how the Affordable Health Care Act basically differentiates against I think what is it, the American Health Plan or something?
American
Healthcare Plan. Yeah. So recently, I just found out that basically these government mandates that were being implemented during Obama's presidency, especially when he implemented Obamacare, those government mandates were placed upon people who couldn't even afford that kind of insurance. The prices were exorbitantly high, of course. So my argument basically kind of stands on why during Trump care, right? During Trump's presidency and his way of handling pretty much his healthcare insurance policies, he removed these government mandates, didn't he? He did. And people that were basically that couldn't afford healthcare, of course, were basically benefiting. I think they were benefiting in the long run, of course, because these people were able to afford them based on these tax awards that they were receiving from these health insurance policies. And I think Obamacare never really had that. He never these policies never really had any of these tax redemptions, and they never really had the government basically subsidizing their profits to basically help the individuals in need that can't afford the insurance costs.
Yeah, so
that's my argument.
Can I
go ahead.
Okay, so adding on to what Praneel said, about how Obamacare didn't work. So 19 million opted out of Obamacare. According to a March 2017 article by the Associated Press, 19 million people have opted out of Obamacare either by paying the uninsured tax of $6.5 million or by filing a hardship exemption of $12.7 million. Many who enroll in Obamacare cancel their coverage. By some estimates, more than 20% of those who do enroll in Obamacare cancel their plans during the year. And then some consumers who purchase coverage on state-run exchanges have their plans canceled for unknown reasons. And many doctors don't get paid by patients on Obamacare. According to the Great American Physician Survey, 45% of doctors with patients on Obamacare have problems collecting large deductibles from patients, and 24% see claims denied because patients don't pay their premiums.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
So there are a few things to go into there. So for number one, I think sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce. How do I pronounce your name?
Malek.
No. The other one.
Praneel. Praneel.
Okay. Yeah. So you said that the Obamacare could directly contributed to the rising cost of healthcare. Now, it is true that premiums did rise after the 2010 Affordable Care Act, but what's important to consider is that they rose at a significantly slower rate. Between 2004 and 2006, premiums for for healthcare rose at a rate at about 4%. And after 2010, they rose at a rate at about 1.4%. So it significantly did make the rise of healthcare cheaper. Now, obviously, it did not bring down prices. And yeah, that is something that I agree to. And that's something that, obviously, I don't believe that the Affordable Care Act is perfect. But by no means do I think it is worse than Trump's healthcare plan. For example, we could examine Trump's record on healthcare as president. The number of people that were uninsured as a result of repealing the individual mandate, which prevented some stability to the Affordable Care Act by, keeping healthy people on the plan, right? Because how healthcare insurance work. The number of people that were uninsured increased by 7 million since Trump's inauguration, and this is before the coronavirus. It's significantly higher now, since many people have lost their jobs. So the uninsured rate rose from 10.9% in late 2016 to 13%. This is the highest rate since 2012. Also, after promising that he would not make cuts to healthcare, to Medicare and Social Security, Donald Trump's budgets have prevented large cuts that to healthcare that would make it even harder for people to get healthcare. He attempted to slash like billions of dollars in federal support for Medicaid, Medicare, Medicaid and Medicare, after saying that he would not touch either. And to get into like the Trump Care Act, I mean, you talk about how the American Health Care Act is like significantly better than Obamacare in terms of like giving more choice and not imposing like mandates on people. Well, the reality is that they are very similar. In fact, both of them give healthcare insurance where children are able to stay on their parents' plans until 26. Both of them, to some degree, cover pre-existing conditions, although we could get into the details of that later. But the major difference is that for tax reductions, and by the way, the Obamacare legislation made many tax deductibles for the middle class, which then made them able to afford payments. And Joe Biden would increase the number from 7.6 to I think 8.4% for an income cap. But regardless, the difference is that the Affordable Care Act gave these tax deductions based on income, while the American Health Care Act would have given them based on age. Most people, so this would make it harder for people who are younger and poorer, right? People maybe get out of college and do not have a stable job to get health care. So essentially it's the same thing, but it kind of rigs the system. Number one, to give a lot of reductions for people who are wealthier and enrolled in healthcare, for starters, and second, would make it so age is the determinant factor of tax reductions and not income. So
yeah, you can keep going.
I
like how you mentioned that was an interesting fact. You mentioned age, and you mentioned how age can actually be could be a determinant based on how healthcare can basically be passed to certain people, right? Now, I think in terms of age is definitely a biological standard. It's still it's defined in medical terms, basically. See, if you're a kid, if you're a minor, right, and you apply and you need like some kind of medical insurance, your medical diagnosis, your medical stability, as well as your health and your overall medical condition differentiates between people that are also older than you, people that are elder. Elderly patients have different sorts of health problems. They have different sorts of health issues, and they also undergo different sorts of symptoms like cancer and sclerosis. But for the most part, these two are very differentiating. The disparity between age has really nothing to do with how government mandates are imposing these restrictions in the first place. Because I argue that the government mandates that are in place, especially under Obamacare's insurance plans, I argue that the wealth gap, the wealth disparity between people that are basically impoverished as well as people that are also affluent and can afford these healthcare plans, I argue that it's not you basically deprive the people that can't afford these healthcare plans in the first place, because Trump's healthcare plan does substantialize people that can't afford these healthcare plans in the first place. That's kind of my argument there. Well, and that's kind of what I want to accentuate.
Praneel, but you're just agreeing with Teddy. That doesn't actually refute.
Right. I mean, Obamacare also gave the difference. I mean, it doesn't have to do with the operations of the healthcare. It's tax deductions that the healthcare insurance provided by the healthcare mandate, right? The healthcare program, right? Just like Obamacare and subsequently, and analogously the American Health Care Act, they give tax deductions, but the difference is those tax deductions are given on the basis of age. So it doesn't affect the healthcare's the way the healthcare operates, right? It's money that is given to you through deductions to be able to pay for your healthcare. So it's not necessarily the same.
Yeah, the American Health Care Act, it sets up a system where a person who stays insured without an extended gap in coverage will typically not pay a different price for health insurance based on whether or not that person has a pre-existing condition. But unlike Obamacare,
because of the Affordable Care Act, that wasn't the case before. People who did have pre-existing conditions did have to pay more because they were not guaranteed to actually, be insured, right? So they had to pay more. But the Affordable Care Act made it so that was not the case. So So that's like success of the Affordable Care Act. It gave some price stability for people that had, like cancer or some sort of pre-existing condition, because they were not forced to pay more because companies didn't have to actually cover them, right? But
I think there was definitely more relief though for people that with pre-existing conditions, especially with Trump care. And that's the thing. See, the maximum tax credit and the subsidies that the government would pay would basically range from like I think $2,000 a year to like $4,000 per year, right? For every family. It does depend on age. Age is a deciding factor, but at the same time, I do argue that there is more tax credit, especially in like Trump care system. And there's that's the thing about Obama's policy pretty much. There isn't like a no limiting factor to like how much of subsidies that this person can basically have in value. But I do argue that there is a specific tax credit though for certain families, though, especially determining like age is a deciding factor as well, and like how they basically apply for healthcare. I think that does differentiate in certain terms.
Well, sure, but like in terms of how much money you actually get to be able to buy healthcare insurance, right? I would argue that it makes more sense to go by income, because that is directly representative of the amount of money that somebody is making, right? So if somebody, let's say like, I don't know, I'm making $30,000 a year. Somebody who's older than me is making $100,000 a year. Because they are older than me, but makes substantially more money under the Affordable Care Act, I would get the better benefit in tax reductions because I make less. I'm able to spend more in deductions on healthcare. But the person that's older than me and has significantly more money is able to get a lot more under the American Health Care Act because of their age, right? And people who are older typically have, other forms of ways to sustain themselves in terms of incomes, Social Security, retirement investments, and stuff like that. So, like, but the thing is, for people that are older and do not have those forms of income to support them, tax deductions based on income would support them as well, right? But by age, it's like unnecessarily throwing a wrench in the process of figuring out who's to get tax deductions for them to be able to like sufficiently pay their payments.
Also, the Trump administration is lobbying to repeal protections on pre-existing conditions in a lawsuit about protecting them, and it's just complete BS. They're just lying.
Yeah, I mean, the administration has been pushing.
Wait, source though? Is there a source?
Yes, here, I'll send it to you. I'll link it to you.
Because if there's manipulative gaslighting among the Trump administration, I doubt that it would be coming from any like common source out there.
Here, I'll send it to you in the chat right now.
Also, what about under Obamacare? There's an individual mandate which requires every American to buy health insurance and maintain that coverage year round. And then those with a gap year longer than 2 months generally have to pay a tax for being insured and can't fill out for new insurance until the next open enrollment period. As to the Affordable American Health Care Act, there's no individual mandate, and instead states can apply for a waiver that would allow them to make their own rules that encourage people to maintain health insurance coverage year round.
Well, sure, but the issue with that is that if you remove the individual mandate from like the American Health Care Act, you're going to have the people in which people who are, typically cost more to insure are the only people left within the healthcare market, right? Because if you don't have some sort of mandate that requires people that do not have health insurance to pay some sort of like to pay some sort of funding, you're going to have people who are like literally like you're only going to have people that cost more to insure within the healthcare system. Otherwise, people who are healthier are going to leave the Healthcare Act that the Republicans would introduce. So like that was one of the things with the individual mandate. It gave some stability by keeping healthy and like not healthy people on the same healthcare program so it could sufficiently fund it, right? But under the American Healthcare Act, as you said, because there's no individual mandate, there's not that stabilizer. It's mainly people who are unhealthy that are on the plan, which means that the plan would have to spend more. I mean, that's one of the problems that I talked about like a few minutes ago.
Okay. The time is up for economics. So Republicans, you can make your last rebuttal and we'll move on to social issues.
Healthcare, I mean, isn't healthcare like a social issue? Didn't we cover,
That's economics.
Yeah, it's economics.
Yeah, it falls into economics. It's based on money, right? People spending for healthcare. So, I mean, you could argue it's social, but it's more based on income and things like that. So
it's like socioeconomic with the emphasis on economic.
Right.
I mean, when we talk about social issues, we're talking about like racial issues, LGBTQ rights, immigration, things like that.
Oh, okay, those, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have?
Okay.
So are we done on this part?
Yeah, we're done with economics.
I guess so.
All right, I'm starting a timer. You guys have 30 minutes, and this time I'll like cut in and remind you guys how much time you have.
Okay.
And go.
Do you guys have any like? I mean, is there anything you think that Trump has done that was beneficial for for like marginalized
Okay.
groups.
So we're talking about we're code, right? So we're shifting the topic, right? Okay.
Wait, what?
Wait, no. Wait,
Yeah,
what are we
we're
talking about?
changing the
exactly?
topic to a social issue
Okay.
that you guys would like to introduce.
Okay, that was a little bit of that was a little bit wild, all right. So what is your stance on like just Trump's overall reaction, especially to the coronavirus? Because I know he traveled banning from Europe. Like most of the European immigrants weren't able to come to the U.S., especially in January 31st. He did implement an executive order.
We're not talking about coronavirus.
Neil, okay, so
What
let's
are we
talk about
talking
let's talk about LGBT rights. In your beginning statement, you said Trump has ran on anti-LGBTQ, right?
Yes.
Right, which have been debunked several times, and he's benefited the LGBTQ community and has in no way harmed them as of right now. So I want to argue with that.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, 30%. I mean, like Donald Trump has not done anything beneficial for the LGBTQ community. All of that has been strictly performative. Is there a single policy that he has implemented that has directly benefited the LGBTQ plus community? Can you name one?
Yeah, he fought the AIDS epidemic with, I forgot the number.
He actually cut $1.35 billion in AIDS funding globally.
Are you talking about like are you talking about before he was president? Is that what you're referring to, or as president?
As president.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, as Sarah said, he significantly reduced worldwide funding for like AIDS research. So I don't know what exactly you're referring to. Is there like anything specific, like a policy that he signed or implemented, or?
Yeah, I want to talk about the policy. Let's go over the transgender ban. Let's go over
It's kind of a pivot, but okay.
You mean the military ban?
Yeah, the military ban, which I can argue. We can go over denying anti-discrimination policy, discrimination policies. What else? Basically from that, we can.
Okay, sorry. Well, I mean, first of all, you just completely pivoted away from the AIDS, the lack of funding for AIDS. And in regards to the military ban, it was never consulted with the Pentagon or any military officials. Like it was just completely unwarranted and like just dumb.
Yeah.
Like
so basically, I can explain that. So basically, transgenders have been able to join the military ever since 1963. They just need. It's not even considered a ban because gender dysphoria is labeled as a mental health condition by the APA. The military, doesn't allow people with mental health conditions to come. Like if you have a foot deformity, if you're too tall, if you're too short, like they won't allow you. So he made it that you have to tell them like which gender, what's your biological.
No, it's for combat. People, the military does not allow people that have clear deformities or some form of mental health issues that are significant in the operations of them, them doing something for combat roles, not the entire military. Like having some sort of mental illness does not automatically bar you from serving in any role in the military. It's combat, right? So you could still do desk work, you could still operate things, right, in the military, but as long as you're scanned and all that stuff.
No, yeah. So,
but the issue is that it was a total ban from the military, not just combat, a total ban.
No, it wasn't a total ban. It was those who were not post-transition. If you were during transitioning, you couldn't join because then the military would have to pay for all your surgery, the costs, like hormones, everything. So, and that can go up to like $500,000. So that would really hurt the military. So he made it that you have to sign a waiver that you're 6 months post-transition, and you can join. So it's not even considered a ban.
Okay. Well, I mean, first of all, somebody who's a transgender person pre-transition can still be physically capable to fight in the military. Like, that's not like a valid contention to make. Like, a pre-transition person still has physical capabilities. They don't necessarily have to be treated in a physical sense in the same way as like somebody who's post-transition. But the only thing that's changing is just hormones and genitals. Like, that's literally it. Like.
But transgenders are, they're more depressed. They're psychological, So basically, yeah. So
hold on. Okay, so hold on. So you're asserting that the reason why we should be full on banning transgender people from being in the military is because they have mental health issues? Well, then shouldn't the proper way to address that not be banning them from the military, but by increasing reform for mental health concerns for transgender individuals, and not by gaslighting and like just like forcing them to like not participate in like equal opportunities as the rest of our like community?
Again, it's not a ban. Like transgenders can, they can legally serve in the, they are allowed to serve in the military. They just have to be post-transition. That's
But
it.
do you understand how ridiculous of a necessity that is?
How ridiculous? Explain in what way that's ridiculous.
Like the access for transition, for people to transition. Also, like you don't have to be post-transition to be physically capable to fight in the military, or not even fight, like just be in the, like you don't need to be post-transition to be in like the military to have physical capabilities like that. We've already talked this through. But like either way, like it doesn't really like, even despite this, like the sorry, everyone just like disappeared and I got surprised. Despite this, like this military issue, right? Like there's like so many issues that the transgender community faces outside of just this military ban that has been directly because of Trump. I mean, like if we want to talk about like the thing with like the homeless shelters and everything, like denying like equal access within homeless shelters, which toiletries for specific trans women can't be placed into homeless shelters with other women. Like this is like a huge manipulation on a psychological basis that causes mental health issues within the trans community. These are all things that have been directly implemented through policy under the Trump administration. I can link you to these policies and legislations if you would like me to. There's huge amounts. Like, I mean, if we're going to like go into like the Equality Act, which Trump directly opposed and took away from equal access and consistent and explicit non-discriminatory policies, like that is not just like an issue on the trans community, but also bisexual, lesbian, gay people, all of that, all of the above. Like it's.
Are you talking about businesses and hospitals being like able to?
Not just business and hospitals, employment, housing, credit, education, jury, like everything. It's just like opposing the Equality Act is like opposing LGBTQ equality, and that's exactly what Trump has done.
Remind me what's in the Equality Act, though. If it was passed, what would it have done?
It would have provided consistent and explicit non-discriminatory policies to allow to stop people from discriminating legally against LGBTQ plus individuals. I can link you to this if you'd like me to.
Yeah, but for what? Who?
I just told you: employment, housing, credit, education, and jury, and a plethora of other things.
Can you link me?
Sorry?
Oh yeah.
Can you link me the link?
Yes, let me find it.
Okay.
Teddy, do you have anything to say about?
Are we still on this topic, or are we?
We can talk about LGBTQ issues more, or if you want to move into immigration, or if you want to move into like racism or anything like that. Okay.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some water.
Okay.
If you guys are asking, the act is the Equality Act. I'll link it in the public comment section as well. There's like this is a larger list, but there's if you look within the list, there's like specifics. It's not just the Equality Act. There's more.
Okay.
It's like a full list. There's like healthcare, there's hostile work environments, there's Title IX. I think there's Title VII in there as well. Specifically, I'm trying to find the section that talks about this. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. Here, opposition. It's the very first one. Opposition to the Equality Act. Despite support from almost every segment of the U.S. population and a majority of Republicans, President Trump opposed the Equality Act, which would have guaranteed critical it was passed, but it was voting to guarantee critical non-discrimination protections for the LGBT people, among other crucial rights.
Okay, so I'm on the website,
yeah, the very first one that you're looking at.
Yeah, I know, but I'm going through the list, and number 3 was rolled back Obama-era non-discrimination protections.
That's such a pivot. That's such a pivot. Can we please stay on top? Okay, either way, okay, whatever, it's fine. What's number 3?
Number 3, roll back Obama-era non-discrimination policies.
Okay, wait, where are you looking? Because I see number 3 as joked about Pence's. Okay, wait, okay.
In the workplace, my bad.
All right. That's not the one that I was talking about, but that is also a part of it. The one I was talking about is the very first one in the Trump-Pence administration levied the tax against the LGBTQ people. The first one, opposition to the Equality Act. That's what I was bringing up. All of these are valid concerns as well, but that was the specific one I was talking about.
Okay, let me read it.
I mean, do you want to talk more about this, or we can move into other social segments?
Okay, I guess we can move on.
Okay, I really wanted to bring up white supremacy normalization under the Donald Trump administration and how normalized the rhetoric of white nationalism is in America now. Like, I mean, like propaganda, white nationalist propaganda hit rates have reached record highs under Donald Trump and actually doubled within the last year. And this is like, if you actually look at these trends, it's a specific correlation under administrations. Like under the Obama administration, there was a consistent decline in propaganda hits, white supremacist propaganda hits in America. Whereas as soon as you can see, like the chart begins to spike in 2015 and going into the 2016 election, once Trump announced his campaign, it's instantly spiked and it's reached an all-time high. And within the last year, it's doubled, which is insane. This isn't like a direct reflection on policy, obviously, but the rhetoric that Donald Trump creates is possibly, arguably, one of the worst rhetorics in American history. This normalization of white supremacy, especially in like modern day concerns. When we look at all of these, like this huge civil rights movement that's going on right now. If we look at like a number of like more like, I guess, more practically besides like propaganda, right? Or I mean, if we talk about active hate groups in America, this is the highest it's ever been in 20 years. I mean, it's climbed up from to 1,020. And I believe that like before, it used to be like in the 700s and now it's in the thousands, propelled by like a rise in extremism under the Obama administration. There was actually a steady decrease, and it reached the lowest of the entire like last decade in 2014 under the Obama administration, and now it's an all-time high. And there's a direct correlation with the normalization of white supremacy and racism under the Trump administration on social media particularly, but clearly within more active hate groups as well.
Okay, can you elaborate more on those? So you said that there are hate crimes, especially in white supremacist groups. So you also mentioned like social media. So like, is there any corroboration that any of this information is out on social media? And if social media is such a reliable source, then can you prove to us that like hate crimes are actually an essential factor towards perpetuating white supremacist groups? Because like a lot of what you're saying, I think that's like based on what most of the mass media also kind of emanates to. So
no,
wait, but that's not an actual.
Okay, but this isn't like mass media. Praneel, I literally just listed off like 5 different statistics for you that are like literally, it's just data. Like this isn't like mass media propaganda. This isn't like speculation. This is legitimately proven by researchers across the country. Database like the Southern Poverty Law Center. Like this is like legitimate information that you could easily access online. I don't understand what you're contending. Like this isn't just like me going on Instagram and seeing a bunch of white nationalists. This is a national phenomenon.
I literally did not disregard that. I said, yeah, of course.
You said social media. You said since social media is so reliable. Let's literally focus on like the reported hate crimes.
Didn't you just mention that they were reported hate crimes?
Yeah, she didn't get her. Wait. She didn't get her statistics from social media.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
You said okay. So why would you say social media is so reliable in like a mocking way?
I mean, you mentioned social media though, and I also didn't mention anything
in the way that you're insinuating.
Hold on. I mentioned social media because this increase in hate groups and white supremacist propaganda is directly associated with the normalization of white supremacy on social media. It doesn't mean that these statistics are untrue. It just means there's a correlation between social media normalization of white supremacy and statistical normalization of white supremacy. Do you understand that?
Okay, so when you're elaborating on white supremacy in general, okay, so what exactly, like, can you like specify exactly like what kind of like white supremacy you kind of see and experience? Like, if you're gonna be empirical, no, if you're gonna like talk about white supremacy, at least elaborate more. Like, I think you're talking in a generalized perspective right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, the term white supremacy doesn't need to be elaborated on any further. I think it's pretty self-evident. Okay. White supremacy. Hold on. But that white supremacy is like not a great thing for us to have, right? It doesn't matter what type.
What do you mean by white supremacy exactly? Like
neo-Nazis, the KKK, groups that support these.
You're mentioning hate groups, extremist groups from like decades ago. And
my God!
Yes.
Wait, hold on.
Wait.
Do you not believe the KKK exists today?
I did not say that they don't exist.
Bro, what are you saying? But you have to. Okay, so my question is,
I didn't say they didn't exist. I said like, yeah, they existed back then, but like just the amount of hate that just the amount of attention they've received, especially over the years, has declined as well.
No,
Like
no.
It's not like it's actually become that much of an issue as well.
But no, Praneel, but I just gave you like 3 statistics that showed they increased under the Trump administration. Like, I literally, did you not hear, like, white supremacist propaganda hit rates record high, and 90% of that propaganda activity comes from only 3 groups specifically related to the KKK.
okay, my question is like, what does that have to do with Trump? He's publicly denounced the KKK. He doesn't affiliate with them. So if it's inclining, I don't understand what Trump has to do.
Right. I already explicitly.
What are the affiliations like exactly? Like that you're trying to commemorate exactly? Like.
Okay. I already explicitly clarified this doesn't have like anything particularly to do with Trump's implementation of policy. It's more so a rhetoric that his administration has provided, right? Like the blatant, like just sort of like the flippant viewpoint of white nationalism. For example, like David Duke supporting Donald Trump. Like when we got like this crazy, just like this general just nonchalant attitude towards white supremacy. What do you mean what?
Okay, when you're mentioning rhetoric, like what exactly are you mentioning? Like what exactly are you trying to insinuate? Like what are you talking about? Like the way he's speaking, the way he's elaborating, the way he's like the way he's like written his responses on, as well as like what he thinks about like white supremacist groups and KKK ideals. Like what is the affiliation? Like I don't understand what you're trying to.
Praneel, do you understand? Do you know what rhetoric is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. The rhetoric of the Trump administration, the connotations that come from the way that he speaks, the way that he presents, his background, his context growing up, the racist history of Donald Trump's life itself, the normalization of this history and this background and this culture of like being hold on.
So
this
if you're gonna bring systematic racism into this, like
I didn't even wait. Hold on. When did I even talk about systemic racism?
No, because like is this like an encompassing way to kind of mention Trump as some kind of racist? Because see, Trump, yeah, he was privileged, yeah, of course, he was born as and raised to be a billionaire, of course. Like, yeah, he did have inheritance from his father, but I don't understand what you're trying to.
Guys, I tried to stay as like respectful as possible because I've had many debates in the past where I get frustrated, but it's getting to a point where every single contention you make is just a fallacy. Like it's either a pivot or just like disingenuous. Like there's no other
nothing to do with the actual topic.
And that was a straw man too. I never even talked about systemic racism. It had nothing to do with systemic racism. Trump's life has nothing to do with systemic racism. I'm just saying it's normalized systemic racism. Okay. It's getting increasingly frustrating to hear all of these pivots. I genuinely cannot like fathom having further of a respectful conversation if you continue to just like straw man and like just pull logical fallacies. This is pretty ridiculous.
Okay, so let's slow down. All right, we can gradually speed up, but like for now, let's slow down. So you're getting frustrated. I'm trying to deny the fact that you're mentioning that. Yeah, of course. Like, yeah, you brought up statistics, of course, that. From like 3 sources, of course, that mentioned about the increase in like whites, like the normalization of white supremacy, of course. But like at the same time, I don't understand the relevance. I really don't understand the affiliation that you have with Trump as well. Because
well, didn't she literally compare like the growth of many of these organizations between the Obama and Trump administration? I mean, if you have an administration that is like literally based on, in a way, race baiting, right? That's going to contribute to the rise of these groups.
Yes, Praneel, I've already clarified this once. I directly compared the increase in white nationalist propaganda hit rates as well as active hate groups from the Obama administration to the Trump administration. Not just the Obama administration before the Obama administration. The last time we had like high numbers of hate groups was in the late 1990s. And ever since then, it's been consistently decreasing. It's been increasing, and then it went consistently decreasing under Obama administration. It went down, and then as soon as Trump announced his campaign, it started increasing. And now, in the last decade, we were at a lowest point in 2014, and now it's at a highest point ever in 20 years, the highest number of active hate groups in America, and that is proven to have a direct correlation with Trump's administration compared to other administrations in the last 20 years. So I've already discussed this. I wish that we could just directly approach these points in a more like articulate manner rather than having like Teddy and I repeat ourselves consistently and then have you pivot to other like topics of conversation and actually address these points, because these are very, very important things. Like today's, like the normalization of white supremacy in modern day society is something that is like, that could permeate for decades to come. And that is like an important issue for us to address. So is there like a valid contention you guys have to make against my claim and these statistically proven like facts that are just literally just like, you could research into this, but like there's not a single source that would deny what I'm saying.
Okay, listen, I haven't looked into these sources at all. And yeah, I will like genuinely like try to be honest with you. Yeah, I have not looked into these sources. I honestly was completely unaware of them. So based on these sources, has it reached its pinnacle like now, as of right now?
As of right now, we're
based on these numbers.
The highest number of active hate groups in the last 20 years in America.
Highest number.
Yes.
Okay, like I'll look into the sources then. I'll have to like kind of do more research on this.
And now,
because I actually had like little to no where like
it's cool. No, most people don't. Like, and most analysts have have directly associated this with like a propellant by like rise of extremism, which has a lot to do with social media. That's what I was trying to get at. Like the normalization of this like rhetoric in social media is what is in part, not wholly, causing the rise in hate crime and hate groups, but in part, definitely like this, like, I mean, obviously, I think like we've all seen some sort of like neo-Nazi kind of stuff on social media at some point. And I've been seeing increased numbers of those pages in like the last 4 years. Obviously that's anecdotal, but like evidence does show that it is true, like on a more holistic basis.
Okay, I'll look into this study, this research then in that case.
You guys have 10 minutes left.
Okay. I mean, if you guys, we can talk about immigration.
I don't have another study to like debunk you or like refute you, but we can move on. It's fine.
Yeah, we can talk about immigration as well, any other social issues, and I think like maybe immigration and like other racial issues would be a good pivot into, well, not pivot, but like a good like way to move into coronavirus if you guys want that.
I don't know. What would racial issues have to do with coronavirus?
Well, I mean, I'm Chinese, so I got a lot to say about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, but it's not Chinese Americans' fault. It's like, I mean, it's nobody's fault. It comes from China, yeah, but like you can't really blame anyone. I mean, no one knows. Like people say, like bat, like it started from like people eating bats, but like some say it's not. So I don't really know what caused it. So.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that in a hot second. But you guys want to talk?
Yeah,
want to discuss immigration or any other contentions about social issues you want to make?
What do you want to talk about?
Let's see here. How we can talk about like how like people get separated from their children, of course. Like the idealism among that and what encompasses around that.
Yeah. Okay. So start with immigration.
Immigration. We can talk about immigration policies.
Okay.
Okay. So since I've been talking like a while, so under the Obama administration, so yeah, it's I'll admit I was wrong at one point. So Obama had no separation policy that separated kids, but separation still did happen. And I will admit that under Trump, under the Trump administration, zero tolerance policy was this policy that separated families. But it was not a federal lawsuit was filed against it, and then Trump ended that with in 2018 ending family separation. So
sure, but there are still separations taking place. I mean, that's also something important to recognize, right?
Yeah, because
still being enforced and stuff like that.
Yeah, the number one reason why is because they can't. One third are actually with their legal guardians, actual parents, and the other 2/3 is like, the other 2/3 is like they don't know who it is. It could be like a human trafficker, and that. So they have no way of like, until they figure out if the legal guardian is a trafficker or the parent, then they have to separate them. So
sure.
What are your
okay. So, I mean, you've kind of recognized that, like, the in difference from like the Obama administration, Donald Trump actually utilized like the American law under the direction of Jeff Sessions to implement a literal zero tolerance policy to use the code of the law to separate families, right? So, like, we agree on that.
Yeah.
And that's bad, right? To use like the law to separate families of the people who are seeking asylum, especially when it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Okay. No. So there are actually. I haven't really found the source at all, but yeah, there are a lot of talking points based upon like the idea that like a lot of these immigrant parents are using using kids that aren't even related to them at all, that aren't even affiliated with them at all. They're using kids to basically cross the border, to basically like bypass these immigration policies. Like,
And do you
what is your stance on that?
Even if there are like instances of this happening, that does not mean that gives us the authority to like separate every family seeking asylum or take every person seeking asylum, preventing them from actually being able to do so and putting them in ICE run like detention centers, right? And first of all, number one, you'd have to prove that that's a persistent enough issue for us to take that action, and number two, you'd have to justify it on that basis, right? So,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so if we're going to talk about asylum, you know, it's a 1-year process, right? Like, sorry, I haven't done too much research, but it's a 1-year process for asylum, right?
Typically, it depends on like, you know, acceptance or denial, but
so, you know, they're gonna have to stay like in detention centers or for a short amount of time. Like, so I haven't done much.
Well, no, that was not the case before the Trump administration. People who were seeking asylum would enter the United States like under approval of the U.S. and then go to like a facility to be able to verify that they're seeking asylum. But under this administration, people have been taken like for any reason found, you know, under the Expedited Removal Act and putting them in ICE run detention centers. So like it's a change that was made.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like, what are the faultiness of like the policies in general? Then like, it's not impeccable clearly to you guys, of course. So like, you want to elaborate more on the more on like just more issues in general. That's it. Like just in the policies in general, like the just the credibility of the asylum itself, and like how if there's like any endeavors or hindrances that kind of like prevent these people from seeking asylum as well. Can you elaborate more on this?
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me.
I'm asking you like if we can elaborate more on like how like basically the struggle like on like seeking asylum.
The struggle on seeking asylum.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't understand. I simply don't know what you're asking me to like talk about. I like the struggle of seeking asylum. Like, what exactly do you mean? Like, do you mean the process legally, or the policies or actions that the Trump administration has taken to undermine the process, or just more like be specific? You know.
I mean, we can talk about the legal process in general then.
Okay. Yeah, you know, essentially the Trump administration, unlike, you know, administrations before, has insisted that, you know, federal agents on ICE take people who are seeking asylum, going through the legal process of seeking asylum, and putting them in camps that are run by ICE. You know, I am arguing that is bad. That is a violation of, like, you know, the asylum law of the United States.
But on ICE's website, it was shown that, you know, they're detained for like maybe a few hours, and then they're given mattresses, like bunk beds. They're given a cafeteria. They're given a playroom, a library.
Well, that doesn't matter, because if the internment alone, putting them in these like detention centers alone, is out of line with the American law. It doesn't matter how nice the place is. Also, I could contend that by saying that there are many facilities that are run by ICE that are not in such high condition. I mean, the ICE is known for going to specific facilities that are nicer, like in Texas and California, and saying, oh, there are TVs, there are bunk beds and things. Where in other places, the ICE and the Trump administration has literally gone to court arguing that providing hand sanitizer, soap, and toothbrushes are not a necessity. So, I mean, and even if that were not the case, if it is illegal, or if it is not legal for the United States to take people who are going through the legal process of seeking asylum and putting them in detention centers, if that is not legal, the status of the detention center doesn't matter. I mean, you know, if I can't put you in a nice prison if you didn't do anything, right?
Yeah, I agree on that. You can't if I didn't do it. But how many?
Right, and seeking asylum in and of itself is not like a crime.
Yeah, but you go through the port of entry. Like, how many? You mentioned earlier that they go through.
They go through the port of entry, but after going through the port of entry, they're reapprehended by ICE and put in ICE run detention centers.
are you sure that's for when they seek asylum or when they cross the border illegally? Like,
Yeah, asylum seekers are being taken by ICE and being put in detention centers. Yeah, asylum specifically. Also, obviously, people who are entering the United States without any sort of like knowledge of the United States are also being apprehended. But that's not like what we're talking about, right? We're talking about
Yeah.
asylum specifically.
I still have to do more research on this topic, but yeah, for now, like, I agree with you.
Okay.
Prophet AP, how long until we're talking about coronavirus?
I mean, I just wanted to bring up like one more thing that I have, like my problem with Trump's immigration policies and specifically with the Trump administration is like, sorry, I don't know. I thought I had my thing on. Okay. Trump administration's like threats of like nationwide immigration raids, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure we've all heard about this. Like there were like an estimated like 2,000 targeted apprehensions, and like this is just like, I mean, besides like the fact that like ICE raids are like not great things, and like despite like the number of like deportations under the Obama and Trump administration, it doesn't really matter because the problem with the Trump administration is that they're implementing these raids as a fear tactic. And I mean, I keep going back to this like Trump rhetoric, right? Like, I mean, I think this is one of the great, like the biggest reasons, aside from economics and all of that, I think this is one of the biggest reasons that I have a problem with the Trump administration. Constant like use of like fear mongering and like or sort of like using fear as a tactic to push out his agenda. Sorry about the notification, guys, but yeah, it's a huge problem. Like, I mean, there's like a lot of immigrants who like have reported skipping work and hiding out, and like there had even been like lawsuits that were launched. And like this is like also like not great because it also puts like ICE agents at risk and like also as well as local law enforcement. So it's just like bad all around for him to be pushing out like these threats of like nationwide immigration raids. But yeah.
Yeah, baby. Your time is up. We're gonna move on to coronavirus now.
Are we still
You guys can begin.
All right. So I want to hear your guys' do you think Trump handled the coronavirus well?
We have an opening statement. Teddy, do you want to read it, or like should we just
you can read it.
All right. Let me find it. All right. So it's a lot shorter than the other one. Well, I'll get through it. COVID-19 or coronavirus has created a tumultuous response across the world, more specifically in the U.S. under the Trump administration. Though some countries have had effective responses, the U.S. response has been consistently incompetent. Little to no direct action was taken in the month of February, and lack of leadership by the president himself manifested a false sense of security that propelled coronavirus cases. From the moment of the refusal to use the World Health Organization's testing to the neglect of implementing the DPA at an earlier time, the Trump administration's response to this global pandemic is a disgrace in representation of the global power and wealth of the United States.
Okay.
Is there anything that Trump? Sorry.
Is it okay if like I can skip? I don't do my opening statement and just go into the how he handled it well.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So in order to like assess how Trump handles coronavirus, we need to go back to the timeline. So January 20th, the first United COVID case was confirmed. Okay. January 31st, Trump imposed the travel ban on China, and along with other countries as well. He implemented articles of the Constitution to help this with him. So he did that. He called a national emergency 2 days after I think the first COVID case was confirmed or something. While Obama, when he handled the H1N1 virus, it was like maybe 4 months out, he declared it an emergency. So anyway, a month later, in February 18th, Dr. Fauci said that the risk of COVID is minuscule in the U.S. and he encouraged to skip mask and wash hands. February 29th, Trump requested $2.5 billion from Congress to help fight coronavirus. It would go to vaccine testing, all that, and Congress refused. The only bill that Nancy Pelosi would really would try to vote on is a bill to ban flavored tobacco. And she also said that you come to Chinatown if y'all want. And then March 9th, in the beginning of March, there were only 102 cases in the U.S. and people were arguing that we should have shut down earlier and earlier. But how do you think the American people would have like accepted that at the time where only 102 cases? So then March 9th, Dr. Fauci said, encourage people, if you want to go on a cruise, go on a cruise. What else? Then people argue we should have shut down earlier, but we shut down in March 16th, 17th, 8th, and 18th. So if we did it earlier, yeah, we shut down March 16th, 17th, 18th. So if everyone said that we should shut down earlier, what happened was the Democratic primaries. The media would have eviscerated him, and everybody would have lost their mind if we shut down at that time. Next, in April 13th, 14th, Dr. Fauci admits that every single recommendation him and the pandemic response team gave Trump went along with it. They said 15-day shutdown, Trump said okay. They said 30-day shutdown, Trump said okay. And then when they went the second time to give more recommendations, the president Trump followed it immediately. So next after. 90% of the responsibility of handling this virus actually falls on the state. Under the 10th Amendment, the president and the government has no control over all 50 states. The states have powers. So Trump is giving the power to each individual governor of each individual state to help fight coronavirus. So you can't really blame him for all these deaths because it's each individual that's responsible for their own handling of the coronavirus. There's people argue he should have increased funding in hospitals, but they're severely understaffed. So there's no point in really funding hospital in increasing funding. So what do you guys think he should have done? So and your stances on it?
Okay, so a few things. Number one, a lot of that seemed to be kind of talking about the actions of other people, right? The Democrats did the Democrats did this. The governors of these states did this. It's not really relevant. That's not an honest way to assess how Trump did himself, right? So I mean, you'd have to but to go into Trump's, I guess my main issue is after Donald Trump, in January closed off travel to China, right? He did not take major administrative action against the coronavirus in the month of February in terms of rhetoric or directing the administration or the HHS or the CDC to take direct action. It was until March it was until March 16th that Donald Trump issued actual guidelines to urge people to avoid social gatherings of more than 10 people. So one of the main arguments is that one of the main positions that we're taking is that during the month of February, Donald Trump's lack of action during the month of during that month contributed to the case getting the coronavirus getting out of hand.
Yeah. Also, I think one of the major problems that Trump discussed keeping people out of America before he discussed helping people within America, right? There was this huge focus on keeping travelers from from China outside of the US when there was absolutely no discussion in January on testing or supplies or how to get out resources for people, which is one of the largest reasons why we have so many deaths and so many cases now.
And also sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say the lack of direct action in the entire month of February, there was absolutely nothing done by Trump directly. All he said was that there are multiple quotes of him saying that it isn't a big deal or we shouldn't worry about it. When in reality,
because okay, so
wait, but I want to add on again the first main the first main action that Donald Trump took was closing off the border to China, right? Imposing a ban on China, but that did not have a large effect considering that China had already imposed a strict quarantine on the province of Hubei, right? So, which is where Wuhan is, right? So, people who were traveling outside of where the coronavirus was, they did not actually leave the province. So banning off China, and there were little interactions between people from Wuhan and other provinces and areas in China, did not actually contribute to preventing the coronavirus from getting here. So one of the issues is that Donald Trump focused on trying to keep the coronavirus out while it was already here, which, was for the most part completely useless. 85% of documented coronavirus cases were not known at the time before the travel restrictions were put in place. So that suggests that it had virtually no effect on actually preventing the virus from getting to the United States. And it was this main talking point. We closed down the border. We saved all these lives. That is what encouraged the administration to not take significant action the next month. What does that lead to? That leads to people thinking it's okay. China's banned. We can, return to normal now. When in the reality, the case was very much within the United States. We don't even know for sure when it became to the United States. It could have been in late 2019. The first announced case was in January. But Donald Trump took no action in keeping encouraging people not to social distance. He refused until I think March to tell people to wear a mask, or it was late. So that it was a false sense of security that was created by stopping China from entering the United States to kind of say, okay, things are back to normal, and that's where the problems arose.
Yeah. So, Praneel, let me do it. So, can you remind me of your point? So you said mask. He didn't encourage mask or social distancing. What else did you say?
It was only on March 16th when he issued
Right.
guidelines urging people to social distance.
Right, like
But hold on, wasn't this
three months after the initial coronavirus case.
3 months after? Okay,
That's true. That's like a fact.
Yeah. Okay. So people want about him not enforcing masks. So some people don't even recognize him as the president. So what makes you think it would have been his comments about
70% of the American population support a national mandate. It's both 74% as opposed to 21% of the American population supports a mandate.
Yeah,
so it's not valid. It's not valid to say that there's like, oh, there would be nationwide unrest if we were to implement a mandate. It's supported by 74% of the American population. Like, regardless of what their political opinions of Donald Trump may be, that doesn't matter. It's still widely supported.
Yeah, but the states issue a mandate on masks, not the president.
The federal,
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter whatsoever, because like either way, like state and local budgets also pose challenges as well. So like if federal like legislation and like more direct action from like maybe like even furthering implementing the DPA at an earlier time before like June, like that would have like if he had like pushed out the DPA in like March or February, that would have like decreased cases significantly, right? Like, I mean, obviously, like not everything is to blame on only Donald Trump, right? But like there is a significant like problem with his administration that created like that like directly led to like I would argue like tens and thousands and maybe even hundreds and thousands of new cases that like created like possibly more, right? I mean, just because like the states like themselves botched responses doesn't mean that like Donald Trump is like absolved of all like problems. It's not like
right. And even if I were to say that the state governments are more responsible in mandating people to wear masks, even if I were to say that, even though the federal government has the ability to do so, Donald Trump, when many of the governors took that action, told people to go protest them. When Governor Whitmer in Michigan or the governor of Minnesota, the governor of California, made stay-at-home orders and some of them mandated mask wearing, what does Donald Trump do? He attacks the governors. He says that, oh, they're making me look bad. He makes tweets saying, liberate Minnesota, liberate Michigan, liberate California, encouraging people to protest in the middle of a pandemic against these exact like mandates that these states made. So even if that were to case, even if Trump could not do it, it's clear that he did not support states taking that action.
Okay. Wait, did you say he supported people to go protest? Are you saying
I didn't hear that.
People to go protest? Are you saying that Trump encouraged people to go protest during when BLM was skyrocketing?
Okay, first of all, BLM has no direct correlation with an increase in coronavirus cases. Right. This has been disproven. Numerous times. Okay, I know. I'm just saying that was just like.
What I'm saying is that in response to these things that you say, oh well, the state government had to do. The state government should have done that, not the federal government. In response to that, the things that the state government should have done, encouraging people to wear a mask, mandating people to wear a mask, telling people to stay home, Donald Trump encouraged his supporters to protest it. So there's a contradiction. Which one is it? Does Donald Trump encourage states to get people to wear masks, get people to do the right things, or does he encourage people to protest it when they do? Right?
Okay, I feel like there's more of an analogy between that, because if Trump was like encouraging like his supporters to protest against that, like, yeah, of course, you can argue that maybe coronavirus cases could spike in that case. But like the fact of the matter is that BLM protests have actually also protested in mobs and gatherings, violating every single social distancing protocol.
Yes, I just told you, there is no correlation between protests and
coronavirus. So how can you
I know what you're saying. The difference, which is kind of ironic, is that for the most part, people who protested with the Black Lives Matter wore masks for the most part. People protesting the governments of Texas, of Michigan, and Minnesota did not. So, for example, in the Detroit area, there was a correlation between an increase in protests. Lansing. There was a correlation between an increase in protests and the rise of coronavirus cases, because people who like fly the American flag and the Gadsden flag were not wearing masks. So that was their entire point. They held signs saying that masks are like evil or communist.
No, I disagree. No, because first of all, like these people. Yeah, you can talk. It's fine.
Okay, so actually there is a correlation between the BLM protests and COVID. So spiking COVID cases.
All right, fine. Okay, see, no,
There's
first of all,
literal evidence to the contrary.
Okay.
There's many studies literally analyzing that exact notion that the increase in Black Lives Matter protests
Okay.
contributed in like large cities to the rise of coronavirus cases, and there is not. Like, it's not there.
It's been completely debunked.
Right.
Like, you would be hard pressed to find a study that proves your point.
Okay.
Besides like some sort of like Republican talking point site.
Okay, listen, if you're going to condemn people that don't want to wear masks, first of all, like, that's a violation of the First Amendment, like the freedom of choice and the freedom of religion. Because, like, that's the thing. First of all, if you go into a lot of, like, what the WHO said, like WHO, what I sent you in the private chat is literally like conflicting viewpoints on wearing masks. So,
are you allowed to smoke in a government building?
Nope.
Is that a violation of the First Amendment?
Nope. So your relevance.
So why is it a violation of the First Amendment to not allow wearing a mask?
Because people have the freedom of choice. No, people have the freedom of choice. People should decide.
Well,
it's your body or choice. It's your health.
I have the freedom of choice to smoke in the government building. Despite that, putting people at risk by not wearing a mask around people, you are putting them at risk. You could potentially kill them. So why is one not a violation of the First Amendment and the other is?
What is the relevance, first of all? Because
I just don't understand the talk.
I don't understand.
Okay, wear masks.
Because the thing is, so far, what I've read so far, there are a lot of viewpoints from medical experts about wearing masks, about the safety of wearing masks. Like, there are literally.
Not.
Yeah. Okay. No. In
there,
Sweden,
maybe
like,
there
Sweden,
used to
right?
be.
There
used to be. Wait. Hold on.
The Swedish epidemiologist
in January
actually stated that in Sweden they don't wear masks. They don't even have a lockdown.
When was that study? When was that study?
When? I'm not. That was like definitely a month ago, around that time. Like.
Right. Oh, right. It was a while ago. Right?
First of all, even with the updated sources on masks, first of all, people do. See, what I'm trying to understand from you guys is that. Okay,
but here's the issue with that, right? I get what you're saying. That's
the thing. Because the only thing that's detrimental to someone that's not wearing a mask is their own health, of course. It's their own condition, of course. So if they get COVID, if they get asymptomatic, or if they even show symptoms, first of all, like, that's literally, they did it themselves. First of all, that's their responsibility.
Many problems with that. Listen, number one, the risk of if I don't wear a mask, that puts other people at risk. If I were to potentially have the virus, wearing a mask does not protect me. It has nothing to do with that. It is about preventing asymptomatic spread from yourself, right? Implying that you have the virus and getting it to other people. So number one. And number two, you're saying that there was debate between medical experts on whether or not to wear a mask. Well, the reason for this is the supply of masks and the supply of a lot of personal equipment was low at the time because they were trying to get it to people who were working in the healthcare industry, right? The first responders. And why was that? Because of the administration not being able to get companies to produce it using the Defense Production Act. After it did, there were more masks available, right? So there was debate back then because there was a limited supply of masks. But now there are more.
Okay, but that's not. That can't be the primary reason for everyone that was debating against masks, first of all.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, the health benefit is really not being actively debated. It's a very clear scientific consensus that wearing a mask will protect people.
I feel like this is confirmation bias. And like, first of all, there's no guaranteed evidence that can prove like that masks even protect you. First of all, I don't think there's guaranteed evidence.
I never
said various sources. Yeah, look, I agree. There are various sources.
Listen. Let's think of it this way, right? All right. If you have a group of people that are not wearing masks, the risk is that one of those people in the group of people have the coronavirus. If everybody else is not wearing a mask, they get it, right? If let's say I have coronavirus and I'm in that group and everybody around me is getting a mask, they don't get the virus. The purpose of wearing a mask, if I were wearing a mask, not if everybody were wearing a mask. If I were wearing a mask, they would not get the virus because the mask prevents the coronavirus from leaving me, my body, and infecting other people.
Right? I'm talking about the lack of science.
The person wearing the mask.
Okay, no, Praneel.
You have scientific proof to confirm that statement, to confirm that claim.
To confirm that wearing masks work?
Yeah, of course. Because there are many medical experts that have their own bias. Okay,
Praneel, I just want to add one quick thing. Didn't the CDC come out with a letter saying that N95 masks are the most efficient, and cloth masks you have to recycle them after each use, otherwise, didn't they come out with a letter saying?
Malek, that depends on the supply and demand. Though. That depends on like how much they can manufacture at the same time, as well as the means of production and the cost of masks. It does make sense. But like at the same time, like what I don't understand is why you have to like mandate people to do it. Why do you have to coerce people to do it at the same? Because like I can't go to a restaurant or a grocery store without wearing a mask first. But like at the same time, it's my own choice. It's my own body. It's my own health that is on the line. That's at risk.
Do people have a
So
choice?
if I was a single mother with 2 kids, right? And if I was going to Costco, right, and I see a sign that says that has a government implemented protocol that says I can't have more than 1 or 2 people going to Costco, right? I can't even bring my kids to Costco, right? So
do people have the choice to not wear clothes in public?
Yeah, but nobody's.
People
Should they? Should they legally?
No. I mean, it's
okay. Why is that?
You're implying that the imperativeness of wearing a mask is just as important as wearing clothes. Course,
yes,
right?
because
And where is the scientific evidence? Where is that evidence?
Okay,
here, I'll give you I honestly did not think that you guys would question the validity of wearing a mask in terms of preventing.
Well, I'm not questioning.
Here's the link on the science behind it. I can send them a study too, but it is a very clear consensus.
Okay, before I didn't question wearing masks. Praneel, okay, so don't say I did.
Your friend did.
Yeah, okay, but I mean,
you guys are arguing together, right? So,
I mean, I'm trying to make an argument, but he's going off topic basically. Okay, so
we're on. Okay, all right. So does that mean that you can see that wearing a mask is like beneficial from stopping the spread of the virus or lowering the spread of the virus?
I literally don't see like any evidence though that can pertain to that.
Put a link in the chat.
All right.
All right. I just wanted to make 2 points in relation to Praneel, what you were saying. You wanted some scientific evidence, right? I mean, first of all, scientific evidence.
Confirmed evidence, like legit, like.
All right. Scientific evidence does exist, but either way, like if we just look at statistics, like states that have mandated mask wearing saw like a significant reduction in coronavirus cases compared to other states. I believe over the same 2-week period in states that mandated mandated mask wearing during coronavirus, they compared like states within the same 2-week time frame. And the states that didn't mandate mask wearing saw an increase in coronavirus cases, whereas the states that mandated them saw like I believe it was like an 80-something% decrease in coronavirus cases, which is a crazy number. That is insane. And that prevention is absolutely necessary in preventing deaths. I mean, like, it's like blatant. I don't understand what other evidence you need to show that wearing a mask does.
Okay, then explain Sweden's case then.
What do you mean explain Sweden's case?
Do you not know what happened in Sweden? Like,
hours?
No, I'm talking about like how they handle the coronavirus. How they contain the virus.
You mean herd immunity? You mean herd immunity?
I do believe herd immunity.
Again, the United States has significantly more people and we're much more dense. So
I'm not saying we can implement herd immunity, but I'm just asking. I'm just questioning the.
So why are you trying to say, oh, look at Sweden, as if like to prove the case that like wearing a mask is not necessarily necessary because we could use herd immunity?
I want to.
Like, why bring it up if you're not parallel? Well, why bring it up?
You brought up herd immunity. I never said anything.
You brought up.
I never said we can implement herd immunity.
Okay. Continue your argument about Sweden.
Stop interrupting one at a time. Sarah, make your point.
All right. I mean, I just wanted to talk about the herd immunity thing. Like we don't have a vaccine yet. And without vaccines, herd immunity is not effective at all. It doesn't do anything. And like Johns Hopkins University.
I never mentioned herd immunity. Did I mention herd immunity in the first place? You brought up herd immunity.
What was your point with
Sweden? Like, what is your
of course.
What was your point with Sweden? Continue with Sweden.
I'm just saying they never had a lockdown in the first place. That's all. They never had a stringent.
Why? Because of what?
Okay, first of all, like, yeah, I do admit that herd immunity. It is essential
for me to bring it up.
I'm gonna bring it up now. Fine, I'll bring it up. Yeah, okay. Herd immunity is essential. I agree with that. At the same time, what I'm trying to say that
if we're gonna talk about implementing herd immunity in America, though, it would be completely just not work at all, barring a public health catastrophe. Like this idea of like controlled voluntary infection is completely negligent of like family and friends who would be in contact. And like also like if you're comparing like herd immunity the way that we implemented controlled voluntary infection like during like with chickenpox versus COVID, like COVID is 100 times more lethal than chickenpox is. And like because we don't have a vaccination, herd immunity, like in order for herd immunity to actually work, it would take well into 2021. And by that time, if we consistently look at the charts of like people who contract coronavirus cases as well as the number of deaths, just looking at statistics here, I have this written down with trends. By 2021, by the time herd immunity could actually work, that would be over 500,000 Americans dead and 200 million infected with coronavirus. So in order for herd immunity to work, we would have to sacrifice 500,000 Americans' lives.
Oh, all right. What about contact tracing?
Is that cool with you? Let's just kill those citizens then. Cool.
Okay, all right. Listen, I don't know the statistics behind that. I don't know the implementation, like also I'm not really like too familiar with that. Okay, but what about contact tracing? Why wouldn't that work?
I mean, wait, sorry, say it again.
I mean, didn't South Korea implement contact tracing?
You mean contact tracing?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, like the problem with contact tracing, I mean, it would work. The problem is that we didn't implement it in time, right? I mean, like we're supposed to have like 300,000 contact tracers, but we only have 68,000 in America. Yeah. And like, yeah, like it's just not fully implemented, and it's not like there's a problem with scaling and funding, which is why like states on an individual basis haven't been able to fully implement the number of contact tracers they need.
Wait, so you brought up a vaccine first of all. So I want to talk about that because why haven't we distributed hydroxychloroquine, even though it's been proven that it 100% works? But so why?
Oh my God, dude! You have not been watching the news in a whole 2 monns. So the FDA, after issuing the emergency authorization of the use of hydroxychloroquine to treat coronavirus, since then has retracted the emergency authorization because it was linked. Number one, it did not actually make any significant impact on treatment for coronavirus, and two, it was contributed to heart problems and cardiac arrest. There have been there have been so many studies that say that exact same thing.
Okay, then why, according to the Washington Times, a global survey of over 6,000 doctors, it rated hydroxychloroquine as the most effective therapy for coronavirus? And even Democratic leader Karen Whitsett.
When was that? When was that from? I see. That's something that matters because again, research kind of trickles, right? It develops as time. The research that we have now, says the exact opposite. So. Also,
you said therapy, not treatment.
Right.
It doesn't get rid of coronavirus.
Yeah, it's a treatment. It's a drug. Yeah. And also the specific study that I was citing to, I'm pretty sure it's after the one that you gave me, but was from May 11th. It was done by the Journal of American Medical Association, and it found hydroxychloroquine to be ineffective against the virus, and found that it was associated with cardiac arrest.
Did people die from it, or?
Yeah, some people have.
What's your statistic? How many people died?
All right, Teddy.
Wait. So I just presented you a study that found that this drug was attributed to literal cardiac arrest and heart issues, and your response is how many people died? Is that your metric of success?
Okay, my bad. That was a bad question. Okay, then why did Karen Whitsett, she credited President Trump's recommendation of hydroxychloroquine for saving her life when she had COVID, and then Democrats, they tried to censor her for this.
Are you familiar with an anecdotal evidence fallacy?
Anecdotal evidence again?
Yeah, right. So this is literally one person, where there are 320 million people in the United States, and when we provide studies that say the exact contrary, like nobody said that the hydroxychloroquine can never work. You bring up one person to contradict a multitude of studies that have come out between March and now that say the exact opposite, that is mostly ineffective and negatively impacts the health of the heart. It's not convincing. It's one person, right? We don't know.
Is that one person somebody who knows extensively about this specific drug? That does she know 150% that her recovery was 150% attributed to the drug?
Exactly.
It's completely irrelevant. It's just a speculation. She just happened to take the drug, and it just happened to she just happened to not have coronavirus anymore. It's irrelevant, useless point, and completely anecdotal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. She doesn't represent the entire population. But my question is if this virus, okay, it's not a 98% survival rate. It's like, didn't it Shakan on Dem Hap House said like it was a 97% survival rate?
I don't know who they are. Like I don't know. I don't really post on the account that often, but I don't know what video specifically you're talking about. But like neither of us made that video, so
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know his name, but it's
Shashank? Shashank?
Yeah, I think he said this COVID has a 97% survival rate and not 99%. So why do we need a vaccine for a virus that kills less people than the flu? I mean, the flu kills.
Okay. So you're asserting that because it doesn't kill as many people, we shouldn't stop people from dying?
No. I mean, okay. So I'm basically saying if it's a 97% survival rate, why do we need a vaccine?
Because people are dying. Like, is that not enough of a justification to find a vaccine?
The mortality rate of the coronavirus is significantly higher than the flu. It's almost 10 times as high. If you were to have the coronavirus spread at the level of the flu, it would have been absolutely catastrophic.
Yeah.
So, like, really, like, come on.
And people are dying. Like, people are like dead. Like people are losing family members and friends. And you're asserting that we don't need a vaccine simply because the survival rate is fairly high. Like, what is your like? And not only that, but like even getting coronavirus, like not just like dying from it, but getting coronavirus has serious implications on health as well. Like people like who have had coronavirus leave with like permanent issues with health. This is something that like this is like a pandemic that is not only going to affect us like temporarily, but like for generations to come. There's going to be like impacts on health of people who have had coronavirus for years. It's gonna absolutely be necessary.
Also, shout out to Tyler. We also happen to like have a flu vaccine, right? So
yeah.
Tyler Bluntman?
No. Somebody in the comments.
Oh.
I mean, like people are dying. I don't know what other contention that like what do you mean? Like people are literally just dying. Like there's no other just like of course we should get a virus. Sorry, I can't even talk. Sorry, a vaccination. Sorry, I can't even talk. But of course we should find a vaccine. People are literally dying. I don't understand. Like, what is your argument against people dying?
Anyway, I get your point.
Thank you, Ab.
But so what would you have liked to see?
Unless you guys want to wait, hold on. Do you guys want to extend this for like 10 more minutes, or do you want to just give closing statements?
Can we do like 5 minutes or something?
All right, yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. So you guys didn't answer like what do you think Trump should have done more? Like
we already answered that already. We already answered that. We talked about like implementing pushing out the DPA at an earlier time. Like, not saying that it was like a hoax for like 2 months. Like that would have.
Never said there's no.
Okay, no, he was referring to the Democrat. He was referring to the Democrats, and he specifically said the coronavirus is their new hoax. That is delegitimizing the threat of the coronavirus. And then also assuming that like Democrats don't take it like seriously with absolutely no evidence. And
I mean, another thing he could have done was just like not declining to use the World Health Organization like test kit. Like, I mean, every other country, like I believe it was like 60 nations. After like researchers rolled out like their own tests, a lot of nations just took the World Health Organization test so they could begin testing for coronavirus immediately once they started finding out that it was like a prominent issue. But Trump just did not do that. Why did everyone just disappear? It's just me now. I mean, like,
the World Health Organization was proven like corrupt. China was deceiving it. They kept getting things wrong about the virus. They got wrong that it was they said it wasn't transmitted by air. China deceived it, basically that. So it was a smart move that he took this out.
All right, but why does that matter? Because we all know that China is going to skew these numbers and China is going to lie about certain things. I think this is a fairly well-known fact, right? It's a general consensus that we, like, as Americans, we understand that other countries are going to protect themselves and like try to make themselves look better. So we should understand that we have to take some sort of direct action on our own individual basis as a country, which is what every other developed country did except for the US. I mean, if we look at like South Korea or like Germany or literally any other country, like they made direct action to implement like and widespread testing kits with the World Health in conjunction with the World Health Organization immediately upon finding out. Like literally January 11th was when Chinese scientists posted a genome, and within a week, virologists in Berlin produced like a diagnostic test. And the World Health Organization also had like a testing kit, and like around 60 countries took that kit to start testing people, but the US declined. The US was one of the only developed countries that declined. Like, this is direct action that we should have taken. I don't like, I mean, we've already discussed this. Like, I mean, like pushing out the Defense Production Act, which Trump has done on multiple occasions in the past, but refused to do for coronavirus. He didn't like wield the act to the extent that it should have been pushed out when he did start pushing it out. I mean, like,
also been nice if he didn't like constantly lie.
Yeah, that would be pretty dope too.
Okay, I won't disagree that he lied, but what did he lie about exactly?
So May 11th, he stated that if somebody wanted to get a test right now, May 11th, they were able to be tested, but this is not the case. There was no federal mandate on requiring everybody who wanted a test to get a test. The main requirements in most states were to have people that have symptoms of the virus to get a test, having contact with somebody who's been infected to get a test, or somebody working in a healthcare facility or in the grocery store. He also said that children are immune from the coronavirus, which, like, I think children make up 7% of coronavirus cases. Saying that we have the lowest mortality rate in the world from coronavirus, when countries like, if you were to look at it as 100,000 people per death, Germany, Russia, Iran, Brazil, Canada, and Mexico all outperform the United States. In developed countries, you could look at Ireland, the Netherlands, Canada, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Germany, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand that have all had lower mortality rates. He also pushed this like narrative that the only reason that we have more cases is because we've been doing more testing. If you were to look at the positivity rate, it increased in the middle of June, indicating that regardless of the increase in number of testing, the virus was still persisting through.
We also talked about like contact tracing already before, but like if we had pushed out like the necessity of contact tracing, maybe things would be better right now. Just a thought.
True, yeah. Do you guys want to talk about the inflation of cases or deaths or no?
I would simply ask you to provide actual evidence of that happening.
Yeah,
and not anecdotal evidence, not the Florida argument. Evidence on a nationwide level.
Yeah, I'm not going to use the Florida argument. So White House COVID-19 Task Force veteran Deborah Birx claimed that death tolls are being overcounted by 25%. What else? What about the motorcycle death that was counted as a COVID positive case? And then more than 3,000 people were recently removed from the overall coronavirus count because they were never actually tested.
Okay, so like the issue of saying that like the result or the numbers are being inflated is that if you were to look at deaths that were as a result of other things, like, you know, because the United States always keeps tracks of these deaths, right? So if we were to look at deaths in other events like, you know, car crashes or other things like heart disease, during the period of the there has not been a significant change, right? So this would indicate that the amount of deaths that were as a result of the coronavirus were actually due to the coronavirus. If not, there we would see different statistics in the rates of death that have already taken place. So.
Now, let's say hypothetically that your time is up, and then hypothetically, I would tell you that the debate is over, unless you guys want to continue.
Nah,
do you guys want to?
Ben Shapiro.
All right, you guys do you have any like closing things you guys?
Here's my final declaration.
Don't say something stupid, please.
All right. So yeah, I know everyone else is watching right now. So, I heavily underestimated you. I haven't done any studies. I haven't looked into any studies, any research. I have not done any research at all. I'll admit, and I actually do succumb to, of course. You guys have shown me what real competition is like. You guys have clearly shown me what it's really like to truly do research. Because I used to debate. I was actually debating with nobodies. So, all right. I may have took the fattest L, but I will come back stronger. I will try to prevail.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you guys want to let's have another debate at some point in the future, maybe give me a few weeks to recover from this.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
But like, yeah. I mean, I appreciate.
I embarrass myself too much, all right?
No. It's cool. It's totally cool.
It's fine.
I can guarantee. I've gotten worse than.
No, absolutely not. I
I
don't think so.
No. I absolutely have. I can guarantee that I've. I mean.
I beat Sarah in debates all the time. It's cool.
No, he doesn't. He don't be winning any debates.
Oh, come on, Ab. Teddy debunks you every single day on everything.
Exactly, bro.
That's cap. Well,
I figured
if you guys
the profit guy would actually be somewhat decent, though. Like, at least better than me, though.
if you guys are done with like closing statements and everything, it was a good debate. I had a lot of fun watching it. But I think it's safe to say that I, in fact, won with my bald Jim in politics point. I hope everyone has a good night, and let's get it.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna add Jonah Axum onto this stream.
Right.
So, he asked me.
I have another debate to
Yo,
mod.
App, somebody in the comment called you Panda Express Ben Shapiro.
Panda, bruh. That's so racist.
What?
But yeah, thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it.
I think it was a fun debate. Like I liked hearing both points. We both made good points. I mean, yeah.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hey, it's my man Jonah.
It's the white man.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, so I saw the videos, the previous videos. Yeah.
Wait,
I saw them. I saw the streams.
my videos?
No, like just the debate in general, like the previous debates that you've had with them.
Oh yeah, no, Sarah was
with Sarah, yeah, like especially with Sarah, yeah, I saw that.
Wait, what?
I mean, I was.
Oh, you modded my
I've
debate.
actually seen those videos with like.
And then I did the
with, like,
debate with
debates.
Keith.
Yeah, just the quarrels with you and Sarah and Jonah. Yeah, exactly.
no, I beat Sarah in debates about moral objectivism.
Oh no, that's complete crap. No,
Into this right now.
I don't know about that.
Yo,
I saw the videos myself.
Wait. No, but y'all should seriously consider not being Trump supporters, even if you guys like lean right economically. I don't think that he really supports any like values that you can hold. Even if you don't like want to become like left leaning or like Keynesian, like look into like libertarianism and Austrianism and like think about.
And even then, you'd still be wrong.
Yeah, you'd still be wrong.
Okay,
like,
listen. I have zero knowledge on any statistics whatsoever. Like,
well, it's not like
I was completely oblivious on it. Like, I actually did not know any statistics.
Yeah,
to back up any of my claims. Like,
WAP.
Wow.
That's
Bro.
but no, like it's. I feel like it's important to
Oh my
grow.
God, stop commenting. Shut up.
Let's say hypothetically that I've never made my wife's coochie super wet, and then
Oh,
hypothetically,
bro,
I could say
no, stop.
my dick has
this
never.
Bro,
things are
what is-
happening with this debate. Like, it's gonna be epic. But yeah, I agree. You guys should look into libertarianism. I think it's a lot more genuine than being a Trump supporter.
I think
I'm
the
actually
best ideology
I
is
think more into
anarcho-racism.
libertarianism actually. Like, libertarian is like somewhere
I mean, you can
leaning
be a-
into the right spectrum of it.
You can't be a libertarian and support Trump, though. You just
Yeah,
can't
it's,
No, yeah, I can't.
in any way.
Isn't it-
He's
What about VZ de Vaso?
what?
You know VZ de Vaso?
Oh,
Like,
like
you guys,
the
do you know VZ?
you just use like conspiratorial nonsense on his page, and that's how he got big. Is that who you're talking about?
Oh, that's
Wait,
the dude
say
who's like,
again.
I'm
Sorry,
not
I
trying to
couldn't hear
be
you.
biased, but I'm going to support every single right-wing view of all time and not represent any left-wing view correctly. It's that guy.
okay, like, do you have any evidence? Like, I know that was satirical, like at some like certain point. But, like,
I would be
were you
happy-
actually legit there?
Oh, because it's depressing that he spreads so much conspiratorial nonsense and gets big off of it. But
Bro, that
Have
is
you
an
guys
OG
seen that girl
OG
who said that the Earth was flat and that black people are the only real humans?
yo,
Yeah,
you
I saw that.
debate at flat Earth. All the babies are flat Earth right now. I'm really
Flat
good.
Earth is
Hey,
the
that's-
only-
That's
Entire
disrespectful.
chat,
Yeah,
entire
I'm
chat
Kyrie
is
fan.
defending wall.
Hey, dude, come on.
On the
know
flat
that-
Earth model, gravity can't exist, and that's dumb.
Yeah, no, it can. Scientists have literally made multiple gravitational consistent models of a flat Earth. It just is a curve
False.
up there.
Also on the flat Earth model, how can you fly from South Africa to Australia?
You can't fly from Africa to Australia. It's still a circle. It's just not.
Bruh. Also, like, how do you account for like rotation around the sun?
What do you mean rotation? You mean the sun's rotation around the flat Earth? It's just like this.
Yo, y'all really trying to have a flat Earth debate right now?
I mean, okay. There is a good point because when I drop my pencil, it doesn't roll. So
Yes, precisely. Bro, you know, okay. You know how like round earthers, globe heads will tell you that you can see the horizon. Just think about this. You know how when you look into water, eventually you just can't see deeper into the water. Air is the same type of medium, so eventually when you look out into the air, it's just gonna cut off. But since the ground is below you, it looks like it's sloping up, and the sky's above you, and it looks like it's sloping down, and it meets at the point where like refraction keeps you from seeing any further.
But how do you explain boats? How do you explain boats sailing over the horizon?
How do I explain what?
How do you explain boats sailing over the horizon?
Boats don't sail over the horizon; they just enter refraction.
App,
What?
get out of here.
No, like how does
They just
flat Earth
enter a
account for the
refracted
horizon?
area. What do you mean?
If the Earth is flat, then if the Earth is flat, how do you exxplain the asteroid hitting like the Earth that killed the dinosaurs? Did it? The whole Earth would have been like
Who told you
destroyed.
that, NASA? You have $4 billion in taxpayer money for a propaganda agency? Come on,
Yo,
man.
that's some
Wait,
heavy
I mean, I
genetic
have
fallacy
seen
right
pictures
there.
of the planet.
That's
I have
heavy
seen pictures of
genetic
the planet.
fallacy.
It's a globe. It's a globe. I've seen
No, I'm
pictures
playing.
from
I'm playing.
NASA.
Of course, the Earth is round. Of course, the Earth is round. I'm not a creationist.
Oh, you're gonna get clipped for this when you run for president,
I know.
Yo.
and I'm gonna be the one to clip
I'd
it.
vote for him.
Sarah's gonna. You're gonna be my VP, Sarah. You have no choice. I'm enlisting with like the military.
I've told you this before, and you rejected my
If you don't make me Secretary of the Treasury, Jonah.
Oh, absolutely.
Teddy,
Absolutely.
you know what? Since all these guys are running, I'm running as a Republican. Fuck it. Trump part 2.
How about you just run as a raging socialist?
No. Right, don't reveal the
Communist
snap.
Party.
Wait, Prophet, have you ever been in a
The
debate?
commune-
Like,
Have I ever
like
been in
in one of
debate?
these-
I don't do public debates.
yeah, just in one of these quarrels, man. Like,
Oh, well,
Yeah,
in Zooms, I debate people.
I'm not
I've
sure if I,
destroyed
like,
Sarah
recognize
and
you.
Teddy multiple times. In Zoom.
App debates me on the value of life every single day.
You are
The only
capping
conclusion-
so hard.
The
App.
only conclusion he's ever been able to reach is that
No,
he's
hold
God.
on. I ontologically prove that I am God, and you
Right,
brought
and what
up
was your
no
ontological
valid
reasoning?
contention. You brought up
No.
zero valid
Can you do
Your
a clap?
ontological reasoning lacked all empiricism, App. The only contention you could give me was that you have a large penis, so therefore you are God. But that is demonstrably false.
Oh my God, that's not true. What the
Yo,
hell is
Sarah,
wrong with you?
You're capping. Me and my man's App, we packing.
I've literally ontologically, I can deontologically prove why. No, wait, that's the wrong word. I can praxeologically prove why I'm God too.
I said deontologically.
I mean, deontology is dumb, but
Why is it dumb, App?
why is it dumb?
Why? Yeah, why is it
You know, it is.
Verbal tried to tell me that
I'm an objectivist. It's dumb because it's dumb.
is better than like consequentialist morality, and that all of our morals come from God, and we know them intuitively, so we don't have to think about them.
Wait, App, do you remember when you got
As an
mad at me for
objectivist, I make circular statements. It's dumb because it's dumb. A is A, bro. I don't have to prove why.
hey, that's pragmatism at its finest. I like that.
A is B, bro. A is B.
Bro,
I reject your presupposition.
App, on what grounds do you reject the notion that A is A?
On what grounds do I reject the notion that A is A? Well,
Yes.
the idea. Well, think about like something like math, right? The assertion that 1 is entirely an a priori assertion. You don't actually know beforehand that 1 is 1. So if
That
I
is-
just reject A is A, then I don't have to believe A is A. I can just reject it.
That's. I mean, I guess that's true. It depends.
Wrong.
It depends on the framework. that
Teddy, bro, you do not want to get your cheek spread
App-
again,
App-
dude.
App-
Bro, you trying to get clapped in a debate
I've been
again,
working on
just like in the
socialism.
group chat earlier?
Do you believe in science?
Do I believe in science?
No,
For the
no.
most
I
part.
ironically
I
do not.
reject all science. I think
I don't think that you can prove cause of anything. I think that we can only use like human conventions to describe patterns that we see in the real world.
Bruh, that's some
I think-
praxeology shit. You couldn't
No.
account for all variables.
No, I don't mess with praxeology at all. It's so dumb. But I don't believe in human action. But like I don't think science is like a real thing. I think it's just something that we use. I don't think it exists absolutely. I don't think that scientific laws govern the universe. It's how we
You know
describe.
an
I
IQ way to
mean-
debunk praxeology?
I mean,
You know
that's-
how
I
people will
think-
be
I
like,
think
in
that's
trying to
fair, but I
refute-
don't-
You know how people like trying to be like, if you try to refute praxeology, then you therefore prove it because you're proving the first axiom that humans act. Just don't disprove praxeology and you good.
Well, yeah. Also, you could just bring up that other people wouldn't refute it, so humans don't act.
Exactly. Just don't refute it, or like
Other
just
people
say
know.
other people ain't gonna refute it. So nah.
But no, also like praxeology doesn't make a distinction between action and reaction, which is kind of like.
Well,
All
no,
human action is reactionary.
It
I'm
does,
making
right?
that claim.
It uses like the purposeful action. You know, the idea that people act rationally under a condition of scarce resources. But
Wait,
I mean,
Jonah.
It assumes that there's like some sort of agency in any of our actions.
yeah. That
It's like a baseless assumption, and like even if it were true, like it's kind of a black and white fallacy, right? Like the idea that if there's like any free will that is like the sole determinant of all of our actions is also like an extremely flawed framework.
Jonah, are you a consequentialist?
Yeah.
logical positivism gang.
Yeah. I don't know what else there is other than consequentialism. I don't think
Alex Newberg got mad at me for being a consequentialist.
Yeah, because Alex Newberg is short. He has a
Rule
small penis.
utilitarianism is kind of based. I can't.
Yeah,
Oh yes,
Rule
yes.
It's kind of based.
utilitarianism? Wait, what?
Yo, Malek, Praneel, what types of ethics are you guys? Like, what are your ethics?
Ethics.
Ethnic.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Where are my headphones at?
I'm an orange man bad kind of guy. That's my only rule. I'm an orange man bad day
yeah, I
intolerant.
still have to find mine, honestly.
Yo,
What
I
about
think
you,
that
Malek?
I was judging a debate yesterday, and Sophie brought up a contention to utilitarianism that was so dumb. She was like, "If you could just beat up a kid with Down syndrome and it makes 10 people happy." I'm like, bruh, the rule is that you can't beat up kids with Down syndrome.
Yeah,
You can literally just avoid that. Come on, bruh. Oh my god, I was so pissed watching that.
Jonah, the only reason that you're an objectivist is because like you enjoy objectivism. Like it's not like something that you can legitimately prove.
I enjoy objectivism. I think that morality is by definition a human convention. Like I admit that, and I think all human conventions are subjective in an absolute sense, but that doesn't mean I don't think that there are like answers to the axioms that humans have to have.
You're just like a spicy subjectivist.
Your will with your body.
You're just a spicy subjectivist.
She says spicy.
By the means that hold on.
That's not accurate language in terms of describing what I believe to be true.
By the means that Jonah uses to prescribe objective morality in air quotes per se, I kind of agree with. I don't agree with the way that objectivists make it out to be, where it's like, regardless of whether or not people kill people, killing people is wrong. Like what?
Yeah, no, I think like subjectivists will, for the most part, like wholly agree with you, Jonah.
Yeah, okay, well then it's just a semantics thing, but
Yeah.
there's a difference between like philosophical objectivism and scientific objectivism. And I'm a philosophical subjectivist, but I'm a scientific objectivist.
Okay, yes. Then we've just been arguing like, the last week.
No, but that doesn't mean I don't think morals are objective. Like so, like
That's kind of cringe. Not gonna lie.
okay. I mean, there's like 2 degrees of it, but whatever. I don't know.
My man is just a spicy subjectivist.
I'm personally an anarcho-Bidenist.
Oh
Wait,
my
what?
god, dude.
What even is that?
I'm
Hey,
riding
yo,
with-
people in chat, get ready to screenshot.
Can we get a Biden-Harris 2020 thread in the comments?
No.
Yeah, Biden-Harris 2020, baby. Biden-Harris team stand up. Yo, that's a nice edit.
App, bro. Chill. Chill.
Yo, what's up?
Yo, Ab, can you show me that you're God, please? Can you
Can I show you that I'm God? Well,
praxeologically reason for me that you're God?
praxeologically, reason that I'm God. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a couple of propositions, right? Yo, well, damn, you reject Column's cosmological argument, don't you?
Oh yeah, Column's cosmological argument doesn't prove anything other than that there was like a first cause.
Yo, Ilya is
well,
typing.
like I said, he was
No,
getting so mad at you,
look,
dog.
look, the only things that we know have cause are space, time, matter, and energy, right? So like I agree that something caused those 4 things, but whatever existed, not before that, but whatever existed in a dimension that supersedes those things doesn't necessarily have cause, and we can't prove that what exists in that dimension has cause. So like even though I don't discount the validity of like the possibility of the cosmological argument, I don't think that it's conclusive. Even William.
Well, then I can't prove to you that I'm God because that's like the first proposition of my argument. The cosmology.
Look at this bland ass
Who
chicken.
is that? Who made that? Who made that?
Marinated water.
Who made that?
Look at this weak
And
chicken.
of course, I'm not Ilya, so I don't want to get on here and look like a clown.
Look at how little sauce there is on that chicken. Every single day,
It looks
Christian
alright.
is more and more vegan, just with his weak ass chicken cooking skills.
His chicken
Like-
looks good.
I could make better chicken than that, and I'm vegan.
The chicken looks good.
Look at this.
Yo, that's messed up.
Yo, guys.
Why that look like a hard split in half?
Question: we believe in black people.
No,
Actually,
I don't know, dog. I'm not convinced.
Nope.
race is a social construct. They aren't
I
real.
don't think Teddy,
Black people don't exist.
That's
no, I don't think Teddy actually exists. I don't think either of you guys exist. Like Teddy, App, or Jonah.
Bro, I don't feel so good.
nah.
Jonah's white, so he exists.
Yo, App. I promise you, bro. We are about to scrap. I'm going to do the little Black Panther thing and transform into light skinned Black Panther and beat you up.
Oh wait, you're gonna beat me up, bro? Hold on.
Yes. Who won, Black Panther or Thanos? I don't care if you're God, buddy.
Hold on, bud.
Someone said, I'm literally so
You don't want
confused.
none of
Why
this
are we
smoke, bro.
talking about chicken?
You don't want none of this smoke, bruh. Jonah, I'm literally like of Congolese descent, bro. Like you don't want any of the smoke. Whoa, what just happened?
It bro, the
That's
screen
a
went on
disorder.
you.
Hey,
Solid, bro.
bro.
Yo,
You don't want
Praneel,
any of
would
this smoke, Jonah.
would you consider becoming a post-Keynesian?
Who?
A post-Keynesian, like what me and Teddy and I don't know about App. Sarah's undecided.
I'm
No, I-
sympathetic to
I am
post-Keynesianism,
pragmatic.
but I'm not a post-Keynesian.
I mean, I can be pragmatic too, but like,
I'm a neo-Keynesian.
I don't know about
Okay.
that. I can't. I
So,
saw that.
You a
Praneel,
neo-Keynesian, bro? You just
not
misread
a-
Keynes. That's what you.
I'm not a neo-Keynesian.
Talking
I'm
about
actually.
neo-
I thought you mentioned.
I-
I thought you meant.
so
what I am-
will you come out as a post-Keynesian on this this YouTube?
What up? I'm looking up post Keynesian right now.
All right.
It's
I need, like, a
basically
moment.
capitalism. It's basically
I
capitalism,
love
but you don't
debt.
hate
I
poor
love
people.
debt so
This
much.
is basically when you just get a lot of you just go in debt and then you break a few windows. That's
Yeah,
pretty
you smash a window.
Bro, the
Capitalism
broken window
is
thing is so
unchanging.
old. But it's basically hold on. Let me give my explanation. It's basically capitalism, but you don't hate
No, I'm
poor
not.
people. You don't.
Wait,
Yeah.
you don't. What?
That's it. That's all.
It's
It is.
like
You don't support
capitalism, but
people.
you don't hate poor people.
But I.
So how does that work
base,
then?
I as a base.
How does that functionalize?
I hate poor people even less than they do. I love poor people. Poor people are.
Caring about poor people is high key difficult for some people. I
I
understand.
also like minorities, so I oppose.
Yo,
capitalism.
no, okay, but no, like it's like
I mean, I could just say I'm a socialist, bro. That's it. Like, I could literally just say that. Like, I mean, that's the thing. See, if I just state that, like, yeah, it's the idea that we're all equal, no matter what.
that's not quite. I don't
Hey,
think
come on, that's it.
we're any of Karl
Hey,
Marx.
that's it. That's a simple-minded, like,
No,
way of,
it's
like, kind of.
not with
Guys, wait, hold on. Jonah, you haven't read Capital. Socialism is when we're all equal, bro. You haven't
Nah,
read it.
Jonah has ADHD. Okay, don't be
Yeah,
ableist.
yeah, you're ableist. No, socialism.
And what's your point?
Socialism, Neil, put simply, is when the government does stuff, and
Mm.
And the more stuff
government
it does,
no, okay,
What are you talking about, bro?
no, socialism would like
Socialism is the idealism of where people place mandates on government, bro. Isn't that it? People have authoritarian control over the government bureaucracy. That's the idea of socialism.
Socialism has nothing to do with the I mean, it has like a minimal amount to do with the government, right? That's mostly like an economic description of like who owns the means of production, whereas communism is like economic as well as political as well as cultural. But
Aren't we all equal in communism?
no, we're not all equal.
I'm playing.
Like money abolition, so like no one is richer than anyone.
well, I mean, a lot of Marxists will make the prescription that Marx never makes a distinction between communism and socialism, and he uses the terms interchangeably. I kind of reject that. I'm using like the direct definition. So I do make the distinction between communism and socialism. And in my socialist society, money would still exist, but if you don't have money, you'd be fine.
Money gets inflated, though. Honestly, though, in my opinion, though.
I think would you refer to money as like just some sort of currency like the one that we have today, or do you mean
Currency.
like currency as in like any sort
Dude,
of
money is
currency?
just a
that you
piece of
trade
paper,
for
man.
things. Yeah, basically.
Like any sort of like transaction?
Money
Yeah.
is a social construct, but I think the idea of currency is kind of epic. Same thing with markets. I don't really oppose markets.
Yeah, bro,
I
I agree with you. I would say I'm probably more left leaning than most post Keynesians in terms of most.
Yeah.
A lot of post Keynesians don't
Oh,
actually like
Jason, red
oppose
pill,
market
Jonah?
socialism. It's just cringeords like Teddy believe in private property. So,
Bro,
So, how do like post Keynesians like value money? Then, how do they view money?
I mean, it's like capitalism.
Is it
It's
like-
just like the government interferes or not interferes. The government balances the economy. I'd say there's stuff like regulation as well as like a Federal Reserve. There's lots of government spending to get us out of recessions and stuff like that. Like there's like monetary policies.
the
very
Fed
important.
caused the 2008 recession, though.
Yeah, no,
Remember
that was like Teddy. I gotta give you props, bro. You smacked them up on that. That was not that. I can't believe they unironically brought forth that contention and pretended like it was in good faith. That's just like I've never seen anything that like prescribes that. And then they try to justify it by saying some dude said it. Yeah, like of course.
Oh yeah. Someone.
Bro, Baker kept appealing to authority that entire debate, dude. He was like, "It's true because Friedman said it." I'm like, "Cool."
Baker's favorite move was just pull up a chart and then like not explain the context of the chart or any confounding variable or any study.
Guys, I'm about to go eat some French fries. I'll be right back. All right.
French fries
Eat
aren't vegan.
French food, bro.
She's French fries.
No, that was the joke, Jonah.
French fries aren't vegan.
No, but honestly, I think nihilism is the most. Neil, do you want to debate me on abortion right now? Yo, can you hear me?
You talking to me?
No, Praneel.
Oh,
What?
I mean, he just dipped. I want to debate him on abortion. I'm in a LARP nihilism.
Wait, what?
Wait, what is it?
Did
I
you
wanna-
say nihilism?
Okay,
You said-
I'm in a LARP nihilism.
Thank you.
Nihilism. Okay.
Okay, do you want to debate me on abortion? Real quick.
All right. Like, are you pro-choice or pro-life?
I'm pro-choice. Actually, no. That's not an accurate description. By the way, disclaimer: this does not represent my actual beliefs. I'm actually, I'm actually pro-death.
Okay. What if I told you I'm no life? How about that?
Oh no, that's what I believe. I think life is fundamental suffering. I don't think that we should bring kids into this world without consent, right? Like, and it's impossible.
Being born does violate the NAP. That's a fact.
Yes, literally.
That's a fact.
You have no right to impose life upon your child. You should not do it.
Exactly. I mean, I do agree with that. Yeah, they need consent, obviously, though.
Yeah. So you should never
Yeah.
have kids. It's impossible to have a kid and get the kid's consent before you have it. So you should not have kids because it's a violation of the non-aggression principle. Especially given that life is like a fundamentally worse condition than nothingness.
Shoot.
All
That's
right.
a dub. That's a dub.
I heard it. Cool.
Straight up.
Pro-choice pill. Yo, how you doing, Park? Yeah, I'm
But
gonna-
Praneel, are you actually pro-choice or pro-life?
I'm like more onto pro-life, though. That's it.
I think you can convert to pro-choice. It makes more sense. It's the only logically coherent stance. Or like, actually, no, that's only.
I mean, like, yeah, I guess like there are some like I guess adjudications based on like how we can kind of we can come to a consensus, right? Like, I do agree that for the most part, if you're like, especially if you're pro-choice, like even if like let's just say like a baby does get born, right? So like you basically have like this kid that has a lack of family like I guess I don't even know the words for it, but like if you have a kid, right, and most of them end up in orphanages, right? Like a lot of them actually do end up in places where they don't want to be, especially like with like societal influences that kind of like it does vary based on like Dude, I don't even know what I'm saying at this point.
Are you trying to say life is suffering and therefore we should get abortions?
Yeah, kind of. It's sort of like that. Yeah.
I believe that it's a morally neutral action, but a civil liberty and a morally negative action to restrict that civil liberty.
Sure. What about transgenderism, though?
What do you mean
stance on that?
transgenderism? Like, are trans people valid? Of course they're valid. Do trans people deserve all the same legal and like social like consideration that we give cis people?
What about like certain transgenders and transvestites that like try to gain acceptance, right, from society, right? Like
gaining acceptance from society. That's what they are.
Okay.
Like
that's the thing.
If I were a girl,
their biology, though, their overall biology, especially.
You can't use biology in terms like when you refer to gender, like that doesn't refer to like the sociological position someone has like identified themselves as. Like there's no like since gender is bimodal, like there's no like clear set of guidelines for what makes a male and a female, and like by definition, gender is like what you societally construct your like behaviors and like intuitions and feelings as. So like if I say I'm a woman, that's what I am. Like if I'm saying that I'm bad faith, like obviously I'm not actually a woman. But like if I actually feel as if I'm a woman, I am a woman. That's what woman means in a societal sense, although not in a biological sense. But you can't use biology when referring to gender.
Okay, well, like I'm talking about like just like the psychology of like viewing yourself as a certain gender, like the psychosomatics. Like I'm talking about like kind of like how you as yourself perceive and want and kind of like strive to be, right? So like if you're a certain gender, right, that you're biologically, but like you have like biological like you have like certain body parts, right, that make up who you are, right? So
sex is what you're referring to.
Yeah, exactly. I guess like it can affect you psychologically if you kind of view yourself as another gender.
Oh yes,
like,
absolutely. Dysphoria comes like a lot of mental health conditions. Dysphoria comes with a lot of other mental health conditions. In conjunction with that, society treats transgender people awful, and like it's like kind of weird when like you have like these people that are like, oh, go kill yourself, tranny, and then they're like, why do transgender people have like worse mental health outcomes? It must be because it just like naturally messes you up. In reality, we treat them awful. Like instead of just like normal people, like they are literally just people that identify as a gender that does not align with their sex. And like I don't know. I would attribute like a large portion of the fact that we don't view them as valid.
Hey, I concur with you though. Like I mean, like I am an atheist, but at the same time, like so many theists would like try to like become argumentative. They actually try to state that like, hey, like God actually created you for who you are, and you gotta like embrace it. You gotta embrace your true self, and you gotta like find your self-realization, right?
Yeah, but
that's kind of the point. Like
even consistent with that argument is the fact that like biological women that are men, like whose gender is men, are that is who they are. That is who God made them.
Biological men and women that mutilate their own bodies, though.
What do you mean mutilate?
I think
you keep making a conflation between sex and gender.
Hello. I gotta end this broadcast, but you guys can keep talking on the StreamYard, all right?
Bye, sir.
Okay.